the other side of the coin, David. So speak to that. I mean, chemical abortions are up. I think probably overall abortions are up, largely because of the chemical abortions. So kind of give us a more full picture of the life battle and the issue right now.
Yeah, Jody, I do actually unpack this in the book that we just talked about, and it's important for conservative Christians to be familiar with this this two-pill regimen of chemical abortion. I think most people, when they think about abortion, they think of surgical abortion. They think of those abortion clinics. It's upwards now of over 60% of the abortions that take place in this country are through chemical abortion, through these abortion drugs. And what's important to know, these were hastily approved in the year 2000 under the Clinton administration. But when they were approved, there were still a lot of safeguards in place. You had to go to a doctor at least 3 times. You couldn't go take them after 49 days gestation. So there was different, and you had to have reporting requirements for adverse effects. What's interesting, though, Jody, is that the Obama administration and then the Biden administration walked back most of those safeguards to where now you can get these pills through the mail without ever seeing a doctor. And so, Lord willing, under the Trump administration, now that RFK's over HHS, that they'll get their folks in place at the FDA, and that we can actually put back into place some of the safeguards that were previously there. Because right now, it is kind of the wild, wild west when it comes to these pills.
Absolutely, it is. So that just highlights why we must stay vigilant and active on as state as well as federal issues on this whole thing. David, let me switch gears on you. There's, again, so much that we could talk about, and but I've got to get to this. New York Times published a lengthy article on Sunday, and it's one of those heart-wrenching kind of stories. And the title catches your attention. It was How My Dad Reconciled His God and His Gay Son. And the article actually includes some journal entries. A pastor whose son comes out as gay at age 13. And of course, initially this pastor, the father's horrified. But then he gradually comes to the point of accepting and even celebrating his son's identity. So all that to kind of give a little backdrop perhaps for our listeners and viewers. But let me throw it back to you. This article, how should Christians respond to such an article? How should Christians who find themselves in a similar situation, be it sympathize with this or deal with this kind of scenario?
Yeah, Jody, there's a reason that this article was given massive real estate in the New York Times, arguably one of the most influential papers in this country. And the reason the editors and the writers gave it so much space is they clearly want their readers to empathize with the situation, with this pastor and with this son. And it is interesting to go through these actual personal journal entries that were published as part of this article, where you're right, about 2013, I think it was, this man, his 16-year-old son, comes to him. He says he identifies as gay. Initially, the father's outraged and upset. And then the journal entries take us through his own journey of acceptance and then celebration. And Jody, this is how a moral revolution works. You've heard of the Overton window. In one generation, what was unthinkable, then it becomes maybe kind of radical, but people are now talking about it. Then it becomes accepted. Then it becomes more sensible. And then it becomes policy that everyone's expected to get on board with. We've seen a moral revolution when it comes to the acceptance of homosexuality and same-sex marriage. And you kind of see this moral revolution take place through the lens of this father's eyes. What I would encourage our viewers to see, though, is look beyond just the individuals that are profiled here. Look at what this father says in this in these journal entries about how his view of Scripture shifted. Let me read very briefly, Jody. One of his entries said this: Jesus, I want to do some real thinking about what it looks for me to cling to you, to know you, to love you, to build my theology on you and not on the Scriptures. Now, Jody, that is a massive statement. Again, this is a pastor who says, I want to build my theology on Jesus, not the Scriptures. My simple response to that, Jody, is that you and I, we don't know who Jesus is without the Scriptures. You can't separate Jesus from the Scripture. Jesus himself in Matthew 5 says, the Scriptures testify about me, that he came to fulfill the Scriptures. And so if you go down that path of saying, I get to choose kind of in the Scripture what I can take from it and believe, but other parts I can reject, This is the fast track to theological liberalism, and you'll start overthrowing key doctrines of the Christian faith. And so I would encourage our viewers to look beyond the headline, look even beyond the story, and realize how we view the Scripture is absolutely determinative if we're going to stay faithful in our theology.
Great word. Real quickly, where can people also go to get more information about the Center of Biblical Worldview?
Yeah, you can go to frc.org/worldview. That contains the interviews you and I do, Jody, as well as our booklets, other resources, articles. So frc.org/worldview.
Well, David, it's been a busy week. You deserve a break. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy your family, and God bless you. Thanks for joining us today on Washington Watch, as always.
Thank you, Jody.
All right, friends, that wraps up another week. Have a fantastic weekend, and shine, shine, shine for Christ. We'll see you next week right here on Washington Watch.
Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is brought to you by Family Research Council and is entirely listener-supported. Portions of the show discussing candidates are brought to you by Family Research Council Action. For more information on anything you heard today, or to find out how you can partner with us in our ongoing efforts to promote faith, family, and freedom, visit TonyPerkins.com.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Attention golf lovers and local supporters. Join Rogue Valley Habitat for Humanity's inaugural golf tournament Friday, April 25th at Centennial Golf Course in Medford. 4-person scramble with 9 a.m. shotgun start. $600. Get your dream team, the full VIP treatment, greens, fees, carts, prizes, tournament gear, and banquet tickets. Register by March 1st for our early bird special. A free team player pack worth $100. Time to show off those skills while helping local families achieve affordable homeownership. Register at roguevalleyhabitat.org or call 541-261-3520.
The Dove Radio is your 24-hour source for encouragement and information. There's something for everyone. Teaching, news, and music. 3 unique stations in one. Solid Bible teaching from trusted pillars of the faith. Relevant news, information, and talk. Plus contemporary music with a message. Listen to the Dove Radio Network throughout Southern and Central Oregon, on the Dove app, and online at thedove.us. Encouraging and informative wherever you go. The Dove Radio.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and so timely to have back with us somebody I so appreciate. Dr. Carson is the founder of American Cornerstone Institute. Alan Dershowitz, a lawyer, obviously, a Harvard professor of law. Dr. Erwin Lutzer, pastor emeritus of the Moody Church in Chicago. Been a long time. David Limbaugh is back with us. I'm honored to have evangelist Dr. Elvita King with us.
For more Focus Today episodes and podcasts, go to thedove.us. A ministry moment on the Dove.
Baptism is merely a symbol of the spiritual reality. It declares what happens spiritually when we embrace Christ. When I go under the water, I identify with his death and with his burial. Because, my friend, in God's eyes, it was me hanging on the cross. Jesus Christ died as my representative. He died as your representative. And when we go under the waters of baptism, I am fully identifying with his death and burial. Coming out of the water, I identify with his resurrection. He came up out of the grave, he received a new life, and death no longer has a hold on him. And my friend, when I embraced Jesus Christ, I came up out of the grave of sin, and sin no longer has a hold on me.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for San Francisco and the Bay Area. Seen on KURK3 and these Dove TV affiliates.
Well, good Good morning, good morning. The old dogs are back. But it looks like we can be replaced.
100%. Whoa.
Whoa. Oh, I don't know what to say about that.
I have seen the future.
I have did too. And it's prettier than you and me, I'll tell you that.
Much prettier.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Oh, my
anyway,
goodness.
thank you, Paulina and Melinda, for filling in. I'm not sure if we're going to allow you to do it again. It's called job security. Anyway, welcome back.
Oh, thank you very much.
You had a good week?
Yeah,
you
great
get enough
week.
skiing in, or you still, got a lot up here to do?
Yeah, in fact, we got a lot up here to do, and we got more snow coming our way.
Yeah.
On and off through the week, so it's a good thing.
Snowed up there now.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at that.
Yeah, there you go.
And the conditions actually are better locally than they are in the big money resorts right now down south.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Welcome back. Welcome home. Sorry, folks, but the old dogs are still here.
Here we are.
And we got a lot to talk about today. By the way, of course, some of the big stories is, the president's going to give a State of the Union address tomorrow. Yeah. And it's expected to be very contentious, as you can imagine. Yeah. Especially after Friday's blow up in the Oval Office. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Elon Musk doing his thing around. I have the classic email.
Okay.
You guys have it? Do you have it there, Logan? There it is. I never thought that Doge would affect me personally. My wife asked me to email her by midnight 5 things that I did around the house last week.
This is getting out of hand. Oh, this accountability deal.
Look at this.
Whoever asked for that? That's good. That's very good.
All right. So anyway, good morning to you. Anything special today?
Yeah, it is National Anthem Day.
Oh.
The Star-Spangled Banner, as it's known, the national anthem, written by Francis Scott Key, became the national anthem on this day in 1931.
Wow.
So it is National Anthem Day. Run it up a flagpole and
Not
see
that old,
who salutes it. No, but it's written a long time. It was officially, and we'll have a little story on this later. Also, is National Soup It Forward Day, encouraging us to deliver love and kindness by the bowlful.
Really?
Yeah, a big bowl of soup, hot. Oh, especially on those days when you are skiing all day long, except for lunch or something like that, you pull in, get a hot bowl of soup. Oh, what could be better? So if you're going to have a bowl of soup, what kind are you going to have?
Peggy's chicken soup.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
I like a lot of soup. That's really, really good. You can get by the tomato basil from Costco.
Okay.
Have you had that?
Yes, I have.
It's really good.
It's wonderful.
It depends on the time. I like various soups.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like a salmon chowder.
Oh, nice.
Now, I've had clam chowder.
You're talking.
But have you ever had salmon chowder? It is delicious.
Tortilla soup is wonderful.
Tortilla soup when it's really cold.
My favorite homemade soup is your favorite to throw away, Pam's split pea soup. We won't
you
go down
can rest assured I will never,
ever
pass that. I pass it on. You can have mine.
He cleaned out the refrigerator. Something was green. He threw it away.
It was his soup.
I said, you threw away my lunch. He said it was green. I said, it's split pea soup. Anyway.
I'll never live that one down.
Never. Thank you for that moment, though. Anyway, and finally, top it off with cold cuts. It's National Cold Cuts Day.
All right.
And, call them lunch meats, deli meats, sandwich meats, or cold cuts. Some like them thick. Others like to stack them high, like a mile high. And others just like them with cheese and crackers. However you like them, National Cold Cuts Day is today. And they are deli staples like the humble turkey and ham. There are culinary delights like salami, prosciutto, flavors that require more acquired taste like head cheese. And do you know what this is? Braunschweiger? I don't even know what that one is, but head cheese, I've had that. That's
everything
good.
you're not supposed to eat.
That's right. That's it. So enjoy it, though, while you have it.
Okay. Well, let's check in with old Split Pea himself and find out what the weather is.
Low pressure continues to bring a chance of showers across the top of our region. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy skies with a chance of showers and daytime high temperatures in the low 50s from Vancouver and Portland through Wilsonville and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, cloudy with a chance of showers mainly after 10 a.m. with highs in the low 50s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis. Showers likely with a high near 51 in Eugene. In Central Oregon, a slight chance of rain in Prineville and partly sunny and near 51. Mostly sunny and near 49 in Bend. A slight chance of snow, then mostly sunny in mid-40s in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, partly sunny and 55. Along the Oregon coast, a chance of rain in low 50s in Coos Bay. Rain likely in low 50s for Port Orford and Brookings. In Crescent City, California, clearing to partly sunny with a high near 52. In southern Oregon, a chance of showers, then partly sunny in the Rogue Valley with highs in the low 50s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. Mostly sunny in the Klamath Basin with a high in the mid-40s. Into northern California with partly sunny skies for Wairika with a high near 49. Moving south with sunny skies in low 60s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento with lows in the mid-40s. In the Bay Area, early patchy fog, then mostly sunny in low 60s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the upper 50s. And today in San Jose, partly sunny and near 60. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
All right, there we go. Jerry Building's other office. Thank God he can't get there today.
That's right. It's going to be open today and closed the next couple days, but snow going on the mountain. We are looking up the Windsor Chair right now, and it is snowing.
So you came past Lake Shasta. I did twice this month.
I didn't go by Lake Shasta.
Oh, you went the other way.
I went right, skirted around Mount Shasta, and then went over to Susanville, and then to Reno.
Oh, of course you would. Yeah, that's the way to go.
We're on, and we stay on the Nevada side of Heavenly, so that's the side we slide in on.
Okay, well, anyway, the lake is full.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I'll tell you what, I noticed Immigrant Lake as I was coming down the
a lot of water there.
That thing is almost plumb full too.
Yeah, and Sacramento River is over its banks.
This is great.
It's great, yeah.
All right, well, we have time for Dr. Anthony Georges. He examines Peter's sermon on Pentecost. Not only did he preach the risen Savior, but showed what Jesus is doing now for you.
So Simon Peter proclaimed that Jesus was crucified, Jesus was buried, Jesus was raised from the dead, and now he is exalted at the right hand of God. One scholar that I've studied this past week calls Jesus God's right-hand man. Don't you love that? He is seated at the right hand of God on high. And here's the beauty about the day of Pentecost. Yes, Jesus was among us. Yes, he's been exalted and has ascended to the right hand of the Father, but he is still working from heaven because Jesus is the one who sent the Holy Spirit to the earth to be his presence among us. Jesus is still working from his exalted seat in heaven. He's still working through his Spirit in your life as well. In fact, I love the verse in Hebrews that says, he ever lives to make intercession for us. One of the things Jesus is doing right now, he's praying to the Father for you. And so many people tell me they pray for me. I'm so grateful for that. And I love it that people would take time from praying for all the needs in the world to call my name out. I don't take that lightly. But I'm telling you, there's no assurance that comes to my life like knowing Jesus is praying for me. Jesus is talking to the Father and asking the Father to do in my life and for me things I don't even know that I need. He's asking the Father to give me grace and strength for trials I don't even see coming yet, which he sees coming. Jesus is working at the right hand of the Father for all of us today.
All right.
He's such a great communicator, up and coming. Anyway, thank you. By the way, I want to hold this up. The new devotionals are out. If you didn't get yours in the mail for whatever reason, give us a call. We'll get one out to you right away. If you've never had this devotional, we send thousands out all over the Pacific Northwest. We print roughly 30 million around the world.
My gosh.
And today, I can't tell you how, but I can tell you, over 11 million people read this today in China, and then they sent it to 2 other people.
Oh my goodness!
That's possibly 30 million people have read this today in China, and comes out every quarter. We customize them for ministries all over the world. But the point is that if you've never had this, let me just ask you this: just trust us with your email, your address. Just email us your address. We won't do anything with that. We protect it, and let us just send you one. Our goal is to be in your eyes with television, in your ears with radio, and in your hands with the Word of God. All right. So do that today, all right? All right, good morning to you. Let's check out some of the headlines. And, of course, the fallout from Friday's. Did you see it, the Oval Office?
Oh, did I see it? Oof.
Now, I tell you what I did over the weekend, the best that I could. I tried to read all the angles on this.
All right.
I would say, and I don't have it here. I wish I did. I really wish. In fact, I called Pauline. I said, "Get me Victor Davis Hanson."
Oh yeah, because he had a great piece on
He
this.
had
Yes.
he probably gave the most comprehensive response to what happened Friday in the Oval Office. He gave 10 points on it. And of course, you can imagine the people who don't like President Trump jumped all over this.
Oh yeah.
And then you have to read all the angles from this. But let me do yourself an intellectually honest favor.
Okay.
Watch the full 50 minutes of the meeting in the Oval Office before it exploded in the last 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so in the meantime, as you know, President Zelensky is in the Oval Office with the Vice President, the President, the ambassadors are there, Marco Rubio's there. It's an office full, and they're having this exchange back and forth, and they let the media in. And then all of a sudden, President Zelensky decides he's not going where the President wants to go, and he bit the hand that feed him.
Right, right.
And it was really bad all the way around. And the President got upset, the Vice President got upset, and Zelensky got worse. I mean, and then, well, you have to understand that there are times in history where this goes on, but never in front of a camera. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when Reagan walked away from
Gorbachev?
Gorbachev?
Yeah, wasn't that in Iceland?
It was in Iceland, and they had the same kind of a blow up.
Yes.
And Reagan walked out and said, "Have a nice day."
Right, and you could see it on his face that he was not a happy man.
He was not a happy camper.
Yes.
It's happened in history a lot, but this one happened to happen in front of cameras. Couldn't happen. Both sides, I think, got damaged on this. But when you really look at this seriously, why did Zelensky do this?
I have no idea.
Well, I think you'd have to read Hanson's 10 points on this. In the meantime, Zelensky gets on an airplane, runs over to Europe, and gets the hugs and kisses of the new Prime Minister of Britain and President France, Macron, and the new one from Starmer, the new one from Britain. Mm-hmm. They embraced him and said, "Well, let's put together our own peace deal."
Oh yeah, good luck.
All right, you've got two countries that are in worse shape than you can possibly imagine, are going to embrace this guy and kind of come up with it. Now, here's the problem. Let me just set this straight, because I don't want a lot of emails on this. I understand Ukraine did not invade itself.
Right, right.
And Russia does need to be held accountable for that.
Yes.
But when you look at the art of the deal and what was trying to be put together, if they had put the mineral deal together, that would have been a leg up in dealing with Putin.
Absolutely.
And it's off the table now.
Right.
And there's a lot of speculations on both sides. But anyway, here's Britain's Prime Minister dealing with the fact that they feel sorry for Zelensky and they want to put together their own peace deal.
Generally, Europe needs to do more in its own defence and security, and that's why I've said we need to increase spending, we've got to increase capability, and we've got to coordinate more, because in the Ukraine conflict we've seen that the coordination isn't there. I think then on top of that we need to be clear what a European security guarantee would look like. I do acknowledge, as you put this to me, that that's more likely to be in the first instance, a coalition of the willing. In other words, we've got to find those countries in Europe that are prepared to be a bit more forward-leaning. I'm not criticising anyone here, but rather than sort of move at the pace of every single member, every single country in Europe, which would in the end be quite a slow pace.
So
I do think we've got to probably get to a coalition of the willing now.
UK, France, how many other countries?
I think UK and France are the most advanced in the thinking on this, and that's why President Macron and I are going to be working on this plan, which we'll then discuss with the US. That is a step in the right direction. This is not an exclusion. I'm not trying, the more the better in this, but we need to move to a quicker, more agile way of going forward, and I think that is a coalition of the willing at this stage.
The problem with this is it's like too little too late.
Yeah.
He's now admitting that the European nations should be paying more into NATO, and we're going to discuss the possibility of that. Well, they're not doing it.
Yeah.
This could, I'll only just say could, I'm not saying it will, this could result in the United States pulling out of NATO.
True. Yeah, there's possibility.
And the EU is in big trouble. Okay. I don't think this influences President Trump's agenda at all and how he's going to handle this.
Right.
He'll clean up afterwards. But Zelensky did bite the hand that feeds him Big time.
Big time.
Big time. Yeah. All right. In the meantime, he goes home. Well, he's not home yet. He's in Europe over there. His own media is coming down on him like crazy. His own media said this was, let me quote it, absolute idiocy of what President Zelensky did in the Oval Office. That's the media inside Ukraine. Now, understand one thing about this. I'm not leaving Putin out of the problem. Putin's got a lot of problems, and they need to deal with them. We're just dealing with Zelensky right now. He's canceled all elections. He's canceled all social media that goes after him. He is controlling every dime that comes into the country and goes out of the country.
And yet there's no accountability.
And there's no accountability.
Right.
All right. And so then he comes in and says to Trump, no. And we're not going to do this deal. And it was a win-win for everybody, and he just blew it in his own media now, saying he's blown it.
Well,
the question is, you know what his approval rating is in Ukraine?
No, I don't.
2%.
No kidding. Huh?
This is why he won't put himself up for re-election. And at what point will the citizens there?
How does their government work? When do they have elections? Who would oppose it?
Well, see, he called it off. So right now, you know what? With all due respect, I don't mean this to be political.
Okay.
He is a dictator.
Right.
All right. So the problem is, has he been a hero? Yes. He's fought back. He's done the best that he can. Could he have done differently? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is really, really, really messy.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
We know Zelensky wants to be a member of NATO.
Yeah.
What do you think their chances are at this point of getting
0 to none.
Absolutely. And they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because they're going to draw us into a war.
Well, and Europe's going to have to figure out what they're going to do with this.
Right.
Okay. The other thing is, let us not forget that even President Biden, when he was cognitive, had nasty phone calls with Zelensky on many occasions.
Yeah.
And one was in 2022 that it was as bad as this, if not worse, but it was done behind closed doors.
Right.
So this was done in front of cameras. This is really, really bad. It's bad for Ukraine, bad for the United States, and President Trump has to go before Congress tomorrow. I would imagine tomorrow's going to be one of the most contentious State of the Union addresses we've ever seen. I wouldn't be surprised that the Democrats literally stand up and boo him or walk out.
Right, but you know what we don't have to deal with? Nancy Pelosi sitting behind him.
Yeah.
That is at least...
Two Republicans sitting behind him.
Right.
A president or a vice president. And so anyway, those are some of the... those are some of the deals.
I would on vacation and everything blows up. What's going on here?
Yes, go back to the mountain. No, you know, I think what we ought to, if you can, folks, look, I realize the whole thing now is Ukraine, and it appears that Russia's sitting over here laughing at everything and winning everything.
Yeah.
President Trump hasn't started to deal with Putin yet.
Right.
There's a strategy here, okay, and we just don't know all of it. I would encourage you to sit down and read Victor Davis Hanson's 10 points on what happened.
I saw it. I'm going to read it through, but I have a question for you. Were you surprised at how much in the forefront of this exchange J.D. Vance, our vice president, was? Huh? Did you ever see?
He was the hero of the room.
Yeah.
He walked out with his ratings going sky high.
Oh.
He sat there and listened to this and finally couldn't take anymore.
Right.
And he just flat nailed him.
Can you imagine anything like that coming out of Kamala Harris?
No. She had been sitting there laughing.
Right. Exactly. Perfect.
You know, and Rubio sitting over there, you could see he was in a slow burn.
Oh, yeah.
What do you do with this when all the cameras are running?
Right.
Now, there's another part of the equation that we need to pay attention to, and this is, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. Our Secretary of Commerce, our Treasury Secretary, had met with Zelensky, and Lindsey Graham had met with Zelensky before the outburst in the Oval Office.
Okay.
The Secretary of the Treasury said he knew that the mineral deal was off the table because Zelensky said, I'm not going to sign it.
Really? Okay.
And at that point, he went in there with the idea that Zelensky thought that he could go in there, take advantage of the American media, and sway it back to the Biden days, and sway the American public back. Well, it did divide the country. You know, a lot of people think Trump mishandled it. A lot of people think Zelensky mishandled it.
Right.
And in the meantime, the secretary, and there comes Lindsey Graham, who was pro-Zelensky from day one and helping him get to win this war. And in one Oval Office, he turned around and said he needs to resign and they need to hold elections today and they need to get him out of there.
Wow. Wow.
So it's
heavy.
Messy, folks.
Yeah.
And if you just take the surface value of it, have fun. It's just that's the stuff that ignites ratings. But I was watching some of the other media go into this, and it was all about how Trump's a jerk.
Right.
And so, okay, you would expect that.
Yeah. They're
But
missing
do
the
yourself
point.
an intellectual honesty.
Yeah.
Read all about this. And the other thing, leave room for the dealings with Putin. That's yet to come. We haven't seen that dealing yet.
True.
Something's up, and we just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, the old dogs are back. We'll be right back.
All right.
I wanted to know how I could access the spirit realm the same way that she had. I have my rituals, I'm a yoga teacher, all of the things. So why do I still have this sadness? What in the process am I missing here? Some part of my soul just knew, cry out to Jesus, and that's what I did.
Watch the 700 Club Tuesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
Hey, this is the one that where Leon would say would split. See, it's heading towards the line and then it splits.
Okay. It's just a testament how good Leon was.
Yeah.
We still refer to him when we look at the weather.
Yeah.
Man, I used to...
He's unemployed in heaven.
You think so? Oh, that's true. There's no weather forecasting in heaven, is there?
You're a meteorologist in heaven.
Well, that opens up a whole can of jokes.
Stir in some fun with that coffee. Watch Mornings on the Dove weekdays.
Worried that inflation might burst your retirement bubble? I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Helping you navigate the stormy seas of retirement, Lighthouse stands tall as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
All right, good morning to you. Happy Monday. The old dogs are back. That's Jerry and his sidekick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
Anyway, welcome back, buddy. It's good to see you.
Thanks.
All right, let's see here. A lot going on. Well, listen, here's one for you. The first time in U.S. history, President Trump signed an executive order this past weekend saying that the English language is the official language of the United States.
Okay. You know what? I didn't realize he did this, but I've been hearing people call for this for a long time.
Yeah, so English is now the official language. The only thing I'm going to ask out of this, when you get parts from a company and you're putting things together and you get an instruction manual that's in 15 languages,
yes,
will it still be in 15 languages?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. That's a great point.
You ever get something and put it together?
Oh yeah, and I'm trying to find the English version of how to do it.
Yeah,
right.
It's somewhere in that book.
It is in there somewhere,
Well,
right.
anyway, English is the official language. Now, this is going to be interesting. What do we do with this? Do you mean that all these official offices that have things posted in other languages will not be there anymore?
I doubt that. I have a feeling we're still going to have alternative languages available. It's just that we finally have a national language.
Okay, so will this be required in school?
Oh, you better talk to the teachers union about that.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, back to the mountain. Big weekend. Big week.
Okay.
Mount Ashland this week will host the Oregon High School Alpine Ski Racing Championships.
All right.
Starting the 5th through the 7th. In fact, they're going to open the mountain a day early so they can come up and do all their practicing before the actual races.
Okay.
This is going to be a big deal. More than 350 alpine racers from across Oregon are going to show up at our own backyard.
Oh, wow.
Thousands of people are expected to be here as family and friends come for this racing series starting coming up on Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay. So
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that is very cool.
So this isn't the first time, but it is a big time because more and more young people are now involved in this.
Yeah.
And the mountain is absolutely in perfect shape.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, we got a lot of snow and going to get a little more this week, but it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you said?
Yep.
Yep. All right.
So congratulations, Mount Ashland, another win. Okay.
All right.
And another little backyard bragging. The Cascade Christian High School girls now have earned the first trip to the 3A state tourney. They won over the Sutherland 53-44. And that will send them to the second round of the Class 3A state playoffs this coming Friday. It's been since 2012 since they've been to the state. Now they're going. So I watched these girls play the other night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You know what? I'm glad they're our team. They're really good.
All right.
Some of these gals can sit back there and do these 3.0 shots like crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
You know. So anyway, congratulations, Cascade girls.
Yes.
All right, so a lot going on there. Let's take a look at the satellite image. And right now, well, look at that.
Yeah.
According to Jerry, that's more coming.
But we got a little bit coming, and that might be here tomorrow. We have about a 50% chance of showers tomorrow with daytime highs in the low 50s. A little bit cloudy on Wednesday and maybe some more on Thursday. And then a little bit of clearing on Friday. But, you know, Mount Ashland gets its own climate. Yeah. And they're on and off snow pretty much on and off all week. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to affect the races. No. But you know, every little bit more snow helps. So that's what we'll probably get out of that little band right there. But things are starting to warm up. Did you know that, you know, spring is almost upon us? Don't we spring forward next week?
Saturday, or this coming week, yes, we spring forward. See, so Lent starts, Ash Wednesday is Wednesday.
Hey, when is that executive? Wait a minute. I didn't want to interrupt Ash Wednesday.
Well,
when's the executive order coming banning this switching time, you know? There's an executive order I'm looking for. Let's pick one.
Well,
daylight savings time or regular standard time. Either one, just take it.
Just pick one.
Yeah.
But on the coast, we have to have all three states do it.
Right.
You can't go from one state to the other and lose an hour of time.
True.
You can't do that. So,
that's true.
I mean, it's already confusing on the left coast.
Yeah, but
we don't need to add an hour to it.
Think how bad it is coming over from Idaho and then going west. You not only lose time, but you're going into a little kind of a different time zone.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know that executive order. I guess the states have to sign off on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, this coming Sunday, actually Saturday night, you'll be setting your clock ahead an hour.
Yeah. Well,
can you imagine? Spring forward, fall back.
Here, spring forward. That's the tough one. I watch people come into church at the wrong time. I love that.
Do you? Yeah. You give them their own worship set while they're waiting. So your practice set is their original one?
When I always look at somebody and go,
yeah.
You gotta look at my watch.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we're all focusing on what went on in the White House on Friday.
Wow.
And of course, you know, it was Donald Trump, the president, J.D. Vance, our vice president, Zelensky, but also Marco Rubio was there. And you said yourself, he kind of was on a slow burn.
He was on a slow burn.
Watching it all unfold. Yeah. Well, in an interview on CNN, Secretary of State Marco Rubio explained what went wrong on Friday and why the Trump team was so frustrated with Zelensky.
For the last 10 days, in every engagement we've had with the Ukrainians, there's been complications in getting that point across, including the public statements that President Zelensky has made. But they insisted on coming to D.C. This agreement could have been signed 5 days ago, but they insisted on coming to Washington, and there was and should have been a very clear understanding. Don't come here and create a such scenario where you're going to start lecturing us about how diplomacy isn't going to work. President Zelensky took it in that direction, and it ended in a predictable outcome as a result. This is a serious thing. I mean, thousands of people have been killed, thousands. And he talks about all these horrible things that have happened to prisoners of war and children, all true, all bad. This is what we're dealing with here. It needs to come to an end. We are trying to bring it to an end. The way you bring it to an end is you get Russia to the table to talk. And he understands that attacking Putin, no matter how anyone may feel about him personally, forcing the president into a position where you're trying to goad him into attacking Putin, calling him names, maximalist demands about Russia having to pay for the reconstruction, all the sorts of things that you talk about in a negotiation. Well, when you start talking about that aggressively, and the president's a deal maker, he's made deals his entire life, you're not going to get people to the table. And so you start to perceive that maybe Zelensky doesn't want a peace deal. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't. And that active, open undermining of efforts to bring about peace is deeply frustrating for everyone who's been involved in communications with them leading up to today. And I think we should apologize for wasting our time for a meeting that was going to end the way it did.
You yourself have said previously that Putin cannot be trusted in negotiation. I mean, do you still feel that way, that Putin cannot be trusted in these negotiations?
Well, I was there yesterday when the president said in front of the media that our approach is going to be trust but verify. President Trump's made deals his entire life. He's not going to get suckered into some deal that's not a real deal. We all understand this. We understand it on our end for certain. And so the goal here is to get to a place where we have to explore whether peace is possible. I've said this repeatedly. I don't know. I think it is, based on what they've said so far, but we have to explore that. How else is this war going to end? I ask people, what is the European plan to end this war? I can tell you what one foreign minister told me, and I'm not going to say who it was, but I can tell you what one of them told me, and that is that the war goes on for another year, and at that point, Russia will feel so weakened that they'll beg for a peace. That's another year of killing, another year of dying, another year of destruction, and by the way, not a very realistic plan in my point of view. So if there's a chance of peace, even if it's a 1% chance, that needs to be explored, and that's what President Trump is trying to do here.
It's also been said that any kind of a peace deal, Zelensky's out of a job.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Because the people will turn on him.
It seems as though that's starting to happen now.
And this is starting to happen.
Yeah.
You cannot leave Zelensky in office with the peace deal without the voice of the people. And it will require an election, and away he goes. And then the question will have to be asked, where did all the money go?
Right.
But those are questions for another day. Yeah. What Secretary of State Rubio is trying to say there, hey, wait a minute, stop. If you're going to call each side names, you're not going to get anywhere. You have got to figure out a way to bring people to a table to talk.
Right.
There's a time to deal with Putin.
Yeah.
And this mineral deal, the more at first I didn't understand the mineral deal. Then I got to looking at the mineral deal. I thought, this was brilliant. You reach outside and you get another element to draw people together, and the mineral deal was the perfect thing to do that.
Right. And it was also pointed out, and it may have been Victor Davis Hanson that pointed out that you complete the mineral deal, you actually put Americans on the ground in Ukraine because of the exchange and what needs to do. Well, that will make somebody like Putin really think twice before they endanger those Americans that are on the ground in Ukraine.
See, and a lot of people, and I want to be respectful here, because a lot of people don't read all these details. Sometimes I don't. But the blow-up in the Friday made me think, well, there's got to be more to this than just a bad moment in the White House.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you start adding this thing together, and what happened was Zelensky literally walked himself into that scenario so that he could do this in front of the camera.
I think you're right.
I think this whole thing was intentional.
I think you're right, yes.
And when you look at this, you've got to go, really? Then who are you?
Right, right.
You just bit the hand that has given you billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Yep.
And you do that at the cost of innocent Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Which is the hard part about this whole thing.
Well, and also something that was not lost there, and it was brought up in the meeting. This is the guy who's sabotaging this meeting. This is the guy that actively campaigned for the opposition.
You got to remember, he came in and badmouthed Trump.
Yeah.
And Trump was big enough to bring him into the White House and sit down. Let's talk about this.
Yep.
Oh, well.
It's good to be back, though.
Yeah, hey, welcome back. Well, we'll get I and Split P will return in just a moment.
Black Flag Armory offers top brand affordable rifles, shotguns, handguns, and gear. We also offer an array of classes emphasizing safety, self-defense, and accuracy. We strive to provide the absolute best possible experience when buying a firearm. Family friendly for every skill level. Black Flag Armory in Medford and Grants Pass. Online at blackflagarms.com or 541-499-0779. 541-499-0779.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Welcome back. 25 minutes before the hour. The old guys are back. Sorry about that. The old dogs. There was a moment here where this place went back 4 generations and turned into a beautiful moment.
I know. I tuned in on Thursday morning.
It was Thursday, as a matter of fact.
This is the best looking morning show I've ever seen.
I looked at that and I go, gosh, I started sweating. I thought, we're done. We're done.
We're toast.
We're toast.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
anyway.
we can do support.
Huh?
We can do support.
Should we pull Lizinski and then start crying on the camera? And they vote for us?
We would lose. We would
don't do that.
Oh, man.
We would lose.
Oh, yeah.
All right, good morning to you. 24 before the hour. Boy, there's a lot going on. Let's check in with CBN Newswatch and get caught up on all the other issues.
This is CBN Newswatch.
We began a busy Monday in the Middle East where Israel has stopped humanitarian aid into Gaza because Hamas has been diverting those aid supplies to its military. Israel's move comes as Hamas is still rejecting a ceasefire plan supported by the United States, which would have freed more hostages. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us the story now from Jerusalem.
U.S. Mideast envoy Steve Witkoff has put forth a plan that would extend the ceasefire in Gaza another few weeks and free the rest of the hostages over time. Israel signed on, but not Hamas.
In Witkoff's plan, half of the hostages would be released right away, and the remaining half would be released if we reach an agreement on a permanent ceasefire. Again, Israel has accepted this plan. I accepted this plan. But so far, Hamas has rejected it.
As a result, Israel is cutting off all aid and goods going into Gaza. Israeli officials say that during the ceasefire, more than 21,000 aid trucks entered the Gaza Strip, enough to last 4 to 6 months if Hamas distributes the supplies fairly. But with the militant group controlling the flow of resources, Israel says it can no longer risk sustaining what it calls a terror machine. The U.S. backs cutting off the aid.
We've done that because Hamas steals the supplies and prevents the people of Gaza from getting them. It uses these supplies to finance its terror machine, which is aimed directly at Israel and our civilians, and this we cannot accept.
If Hamas doesn't start to compromise, Israel's planning to go to all-out war to wipe out the terror group in Gaza and has authorized the mobilization of up to 400,000 reservists through May 2025. Top Israeli conservatives cheered Netanyahu's new, tougher stance. Former National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir tweeted, "This should be the policy until the last hostage is returned. Now is the time to open the gates of hell, cut off electricity and water, return to war." To aid Israel in its fight against Hamas and Iran's other proxies, the Trump administration is speeding up $4 billion worth of military sales to Israel. In expediting these sales, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he's reversing moves by the Biden administration to slow-walk weapons deliveries to Israel. Recently freed hostage Eli Sharabi has been speaking out on Hamas atrocities against their captives.
In the worst times, what do you eat?
In the worst times, you eat once a day a bowl of pasta.
And that's all the food you get for the day?
It's about 250 to 300 calories.
A day?
A day, which is a tenth of what I need.
In response to that video, President Trump has invited Sharabi and other freed hostages to meet with him at the White House this Tuesday. Meanwhile, a terrorist killed at least one Israeli and wounded several others in a knife attack in Haifa this morning. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I want to turn now to another major international conflict after Friday's blow-up between President Donald Trump and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Europe may finally be ready to take a more active role in ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. CBN's Dale Hurd is on this story.
Saying Europe is at a crossroads in history, 18 world leaders at a summit in London Sunday agreed to take new steps to stop the fighting in Ukraine. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the plan will include fresh military aid to Ukraine and economic pressure on Russia.
The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong U.S. backing.
Ukrainian President Zelensky traveled to London just hours after his contentious meeting with President Trump on Friday.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
Democratic Senator Chris Murphy called Zelensky's treatment shameful.
The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Every single day, you hear from the National Security Advisor, from the President of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points. For the last week, the White House has been pretending as if Ukraine started this war.
Russia seems to agree. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Sunday that the administration's foreign policy configurations largely align with our vision. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was also in the office Friday, said he hopes relations between Trump and Zelensky can be repaired.
I hope this could all be reset. I hope he comes to the realization that we're actually trying to help his country here before it suffers thousands of more casualties.
But even staunch Ukraine supporters, Senator Lindsey Graham now says Zelensky needs to resign or send someone else to the next meeting with Trump. CBN News chief political analyst David Brody.
And if you're losing Lindsey Graham, that's not good. Specifically, Lindsey Graham also said just, late Friday afternoon, he said, I don't think we can work with Zelensky anymore. I think that's it. He either needs to resign or we need to work with someone else. Look, if Lindsey Graham is saying that, oh, gosh, Katie, bar the door.
Well, that's a strong point.
Yep.
In the news media. I don't know where all this is going to go. In the meantime, we just have to wait and see how it plays out. At the end of the day, nobody's more powerful than the United States.
Right.
And I'm glad the EU is waking up and realize, isn't it interesting? Oh, maybe it's time for us to get together now and work on trying to end the war.
Yeah.
Well, where you guys been?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really kind of crazy. All right, let's check out the weather with the guy that. Well, he's okay.
Low pressure continues to bring a chance of showers across the top of our region. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy skies with a chance of showers and daytime high temperatures in the low 50s from Vancouver and Portland through Wilsonville and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, cloudy with a chance of showers mainly after 10 a.m. with highs in the low 50s. For Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, showers likely with a high near 51 in Eugene. In central Oregon, a slight chance of rain in Prineville and partly sunny and near 51. Mostly sunny and near 49 in Bend. A slight chance of snow, then mostly sunny and mid-40s in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, partly sunny and 55. Along the Oregon coast, a chance of rain in low 50s in Coos Bay. Rain likely in low 50s for Port Orford and Brookings. In Crescent City, California, clearing to partly sunny with a high near 52. In southern Oregon, a chance of showers, then partly sunny in the Rogue Valley with highs in the low 50s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. Mostly sunny in the Klamath Basin with a high in the mid-40s. Into northern California with partly sunny skies for Wairika with a high near 49. Moving south with sunny skies in low 60s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento with lows in the mid-40s. In the Bay Area, early patchy fog, then mostly sunny in low 60s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the upper 50s. And today in San Jose, partly sunny and near 60. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood with some light rain out there. Picture of our beautiful valley, clear below, clouds above, and snowing at Mount Ashland. So a little of everything going on.
Raindrops on the lens of that camera as well. So
on my head too.
That's right. Well, we talked about this earlier. That is National Anthem Day because it was on this day in history, March 3rd, 1931. The President Herbert Hoover finally signed a congressional act making the Star-Spangled Banner the official national anthem of the United States.
On September 14, 1814, Francis Scott Key composed the lyrics to the Star-Spangled Banner after witnessing the massive overnight British bombardment of Fort McHenry in Maryland during the War of 1812. Key, an American lawyer, watched the siege while under detainment on a British ship and penned the famous words after observing with awe that Fort McHenry's flag survived the 1,800 bomb assault. After circulating as a handbill, the patriotic lyrics were published in a Baltimore newspaper on September 20th, 1814. Key's words were later set to the tune of To Anacreon in Heaven, a popular English tavern song. Throughout the 19th century, the Star-Spangled Banner was regarded as the national anthem by most branches of the U.S. Armed Forces and other groups, but it was not until 1916 and the signing of an executive order by President Woodrow Wilson that it was formally designated as such. In March of 1931, Congress passed an act confirming Wilson's presidential order, and on March 3rd, President Hoover signed it into law.
How about that? And there are verses of the national anthem we don't sing. There are like 4 verses.
Isn't that interesting? And I thought there was a move at one time to make God Bless America the national anthem, but it is, I wouldn't say it's a sequel, but it is up there in respect, you know. And that really came to light when Kate Smith, was it Kate Smith that would sing that?
Yeah, but you know what? She got canceled. She used to sing at the 7th inning stretch in Yankee Stadium.
Oh.
She got canceled because she sang a song back in the 30s that somebody else wrote that has been deemed to be racist. So she got canceled. Can you imagine? Kate Smith. Kate Smith got canceled.
Well, stick around. You and I will get canceled. we're right on the edge. We're next.
Oh, golly.
Okay, well, former Reagan economist Art Lafler comments on the congressional budget cuts and the Jobs Act battle, saying that it's absolutely essential to the Trump prosperity program. He said this.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with what happened last night. It doesn't matter whether it was by a large margin or a small margin. The bill was passed. Johnson did a great job on that. What shocks me, Brian, is where did you find those Democrats who say those stupid comments? I mean, they're so counterfactual. Well, you know, what we know very well is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act increased tax revenues to the federal government, didn't lower them. It made the poverty levels for the minorities, the disenfranchised, the less educated, the lowest in U.S. history ever. And U.S. growth relative to the Eurozone, which had been going right together, all of a sudden increased very much in favor of the U.S. All of the things they've said there are just counterfactual. I just don't get where these people get off saying that stuff without having consequences for them. It's just plain wrong, and I'd love to debate any one of them on a show you have on the facts of what happened with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, because they are just absolutely wrong on everything they say, and it's really dysfunctional for them to really be saying that to the American people. This was the greatest thing that happened last night, and that Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is absolutely essential to the Trump prosperity.
So let me just ask you a basic question. If you have more money in your pocket, what will you do with it?
What would I do with more money? Well, you know, there's a certain amount of that I need to save.
Yeah.
And
so your savings would go up and you'd spend more.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
I can't.
I don't know. I can't process that. It's beyond my ability to think. I'll take a break. I'll be right back. I'll think about that.
Okay.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way, with fire danger biting at its heels. Flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Christ belongs to all people. He belongs to the whole world.
For 60 years, Billy Graham and his team took the message of Christ to the world.
Have you been born again?
Telecasts of Billy Graham crusades continue to reach millions with the gospel.
If you repent, he will forgive.
Relive these moments on Billy Graham Classics.
Jesus said, follow me. Come and change the world with me.
Billy Graham Classics, Friday and Saturday on the Dove TV.
We can secure our world. Don't just use a password alone. MFA sends a call or text a code to your phone.
Learn more at CISA.gov/secure-our-world.
That's how we can secure our world.
Hi, welcome back. Have you ever heard the scripture in Proverbs where it says, train up in a child in the way it should go, and when it's old, it won't depart from you? The question, when is old?
Good question.
Anyway, Bill Gallagher tackles this, and here's what he had to say.
Chuck Swindoll, my favorite. He's still on the air here, right? Chuck Swindoll, my favorite. Proverbs 22:6.
Okay.
Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he shall not, what?
Depart from
it.
What does that mean?
Well, Swindoll, first of all, says the most quoted passage on child rearing in the Bible, and ironically, the most misunderstood.
Okay.
So what I think maybe the preachers of the old days, or what we thought this meant off the cuff, was that our children eventually are going to sow their wild oats.
And the parents are home praying for crop failure.
Crop failure, yes, again. But that somehow we have to beat the gospel into them, make them memorize scripture. They will fall away from the Lord, and then on their deathbed, they'll repent. That is not what this verse means.
Okay.
What the verse means, based on what Swindoll broke down, is that at birth, when a child was born into this world, the midwife would crush some dates, make it really, really sweet and soft, and rub the dates in the bottom palate of the mouth, which created a sucking action and taught the child how to nurse. So, in other words, it was to encourage the kind of behavior that would benefit the child. And the midwife would wisely prepare and use the infant's natural instinct to guide them towards what is best. Good parenting is by inspiration, not coercion.
Okay.
And it means that we need to know our child's bent or temperament at an early age and encourage him to go that way. So Proverbs 22:6 says, teach your child in the way he should go, not in the way we think he should go. And he will not depart from it.
Amen.
There you go.
Amen, Bill.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Right. And I don't want to rush away from Bill, but I can't wait to get to this because Mr. Tim Shoemaker from Focus on the Family shares an example of how to revitalize devotional time with your family with rat traps.
Whenever you do anything with, like here, this is actually not a mouse trap, but it's a rat trap. That's why it's so big. And so you get the old-fashioned kind on the wood. And here's what you do, especially think about when you've got a teenage son or daughter, and they're kind of pushing back a little bit. So you pick up about, let's say, 6 or 8 of these traps. Go to a narrow hallway in your home. Set these traps. Just lay them out in a little maze.
Okay, I see where this is going.
And you have your son or daughter on the other end with you. And you say, okay, shoes and socks off. Now I've got a blindfold, and Dad's going to blindfold you, and I'm going to spin you around a few times. I'm going to send you down this hallway, and you can't even shuffle down. I want you just to step. Would you do that? No. And they'd be like, no, they're definitely not going to do that. And I said, well, what if you had to go through this hallway? You have to. But what if, even though you're blindfolded, you put your hands on Dad's shoulders, and Dad puts his hands on your shoulders? And what if I say, I'll walk you through, and I'll keep you from these traps? Would you do it then? Of course, I'm much more likely to do it that way. And the whole point of it is this, is, you know what, kids, this is where you're at in life. You know,
that's a good one.
You want to be free, I know it, but this corridor that you're going down right now, there are so many traps. Mom and Dad have been down this hall. We know where a lot of them are, but you got to talk to us. You got to be open, and we'll be helping you stay out of those traps. Look, you're not going to have to ask for your freedom. You're not going to have to fight for your freedom. On the other end of this hallway, we're going to give it to you, but Mom and Dad want you to be able to fly. We want you to run and not be a cripple. So many teenagers, these last years in their teenager, they come out of it a cripple. So we're hitting it really quick, and of course we'd hit with scripture, but talking about those traps in life.
Oh, great illustration.
What a great illustration.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Would you walk down that hallway? No.
I think what you ought to do now is go to all your kids' homes and put them right outside the door. Just put a bunch of rat traps right outside the doors. Okay? Oh, that's very good.
Yeah.
All right, James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. Count it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. Okay, so he allows them to be in your life for a reason. So count it a joy, because at the end of the day, you learn from it. Yeah. All right, stick around. The old guys will return, if we don't fall asleep.
Thousands of satisfied customers make Jim Clark's Consignment Country the most recommended RV consignment lot on the West Coast. Even dealers recommend us. That success comes from dealing with only the cleanest pre-owned RVs at the best prices, no high-pressured salespeople, and treating customers with respect. And we've been doing this in the same location for over 40 years. Before you buy or sell your RV, see why so many satisfied customers recommend Jim Clark's Consignment Country. Family owned and operated at 1630 Rogue River Highway in Grants Pass.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why at Kelly's, it's automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
Big ideas grow.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
High THC products can cause cannabis-induced psychosis and come with increased risks of suicidal thoughts, planning, and attempts.
Get educated. Talk to your kids well before they experiment with marijuana and dabbing THC.
Grab a cup of coffee
and start your day right.
Join us for Mornings on the Dove.
Well, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. The old guys have returned.
We're back.
We're like a bad habit. We returned.
We remembered how to get back here.
Yeah, we did.
All right.
Anyway, our livelihood was threatened. And after the show, both Jerry and I go into counseling.
Yeah.
So, but thank you, Melinda and Polina, for filling in.
Yeah. They did a wonderful job.
It was fun to watch, and I'm going, oh, my stars. There we go. We're done.
Yeah, I
We're
agree.
toast.
I tuned in. I thought, this is the best-looking morning show I've seen.
Yeah. So anyway, we traded beauty back to bronze.
Yes.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Monday. A lot going on in the news, and think about it. This time next week, it'll be an hour earlier.
That's right. Yeah, spring
Can you imagine that? We'll be instead of this being a little after this hour, it'll be the next hour ahead.
Yes. Yeah, when we lose an hour of sleep.
Yeah, you spring forward and fall back. So it's coming to a clock near you Saturday night.
Spring forward, then take a nap.
Yeah, there we go. Anyway, happy Monday to you. A lot going on in the news. Anything special today?
It is National Anthem Day. We'll have a story on this a little later. Interesting story about our national anthem, a poem that was written by Francis Scott Key that turned into our national anthem. And at one point it was, "Oh, say can you see Fort McHenry?" But we'll have more on that later. Yes. Also, National Soup It Forward Day. It encourages us to deliver love and kindness by the bowlful. And what say you? What kind of bowlful would you take this morning?
There's a variety of things. First, I would start with Peggy's homemade chicken soup. And then I could go over to the salmon chowder.
Oh, yeah. We can do that, too. Yes.
There's other soups I like, too. You know, I like tasting soups. I'm not real fond of the tomato-based stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it's not that I don't like it. It's just not high on my list.
Yeah. Are there real medical benefits or health benefits to eating chicken soup?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
And there's even books written about that.
I know. In fact, there's chicken soup for the soul.
Yes. I don't know. All I know, it's got an image that just having it makes you feel better. Whether it actually does anything, I don't know.
I think there are. And you know what? Speaking of which, these days, especially with our built-in AI in our pockets, I'm constantly trying to find out what are the health benefits of blank.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, all the time. In fact, and oftentimes there are no health benefits. You're killing yourself with that. I lost that one.
Where's RFK Jr. when you need him? Why don't we just AI him?
Yes,
you know?
yes.
He's going after it today. He's going after measles and obesity.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he's going after.
All right.
So.
Well, it's one of the things that I'm always looking at these days is salt. You know, salt is like, I'm looking for the health benefits of something. They say, well, yeah, other than the salt in there, there's some good things, but you are killing yourself with the salt. So anyway, I digress. Sorry about that. It's
Drink
also
lots of water.
Yes. Well, and here's another one because it's this day, and I'm going to look and say, well, are there any health benefits, or am I killing myself with cold cuts? Because it is National Cold Cuts Day. And of course,
isn't that just raw protein?
Yeah, but there's a high fat content in a lot of this processed meat.
What?
Oh, so what? There we go. You're killing me too. Call them lunch meats, deli meats, sandwich meats, or cold cuts. Some like them thick, others like them stacked a mile high, and others still just like them with cheese and crackers. However you like them, it is National Cold Cuts Day, and you can enjoy and then, Google later whether it's good for you or not. But it's one of the things that we got to be careful of is highly processed food. And it's hard to beat good cold cuts, but I can only eat so much.
Yeah, got to be careful.
Yeah, we got moderation in
all things in moderation.
There you go.
Right.
Amen.
All right.
All right.
Well, you forgot to mention your favorite soup.
Oh, my favorite soup is the one. It is my favorite soup, and it's Pam's homemade split pea soup. And I haven't brought a bowl back here since you threw my last one away. Clean it out. I'll never forget. And I've told this story many times.
Never
and
let me forget.
I'm not done telling. I come into the fridge and I open it up and say, Sue, my soup is gone. She goes, well, Perry was cleaning out the fridge. I said, Perry, did you clean out the fridge? Did you throw out my soup? And you said it was green. And you did throw it out.
It went out.
And it was split pea soup.
Oh, well,
but I understand some of that stuff. And there have been times where there have been like things left in the fridge.
Yeah.
And they become a little toxic.
Well,
I will give you the benefit of the doubt. It was green.
Well, that was a double win for me.
I know it was.
It was green and it got out of there. And it happened to be split pea soup.
And I went hungry that day.
There are moments when I open the refrigerator door here and things are crawling out at you.
Yes.
I know.
It gets dangerous once in a while.
No, split pea soup is not my favorite. But I'm glad you like it. I don't.
Especially Pam's, honey, is the best.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Pam, you make a delicious soup.
She does.
Just don't invite me for that one. All right, well, here's Mr. Split Pea himself.
Low pressure continues to bring a chance of showers across the top of our region. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy skies with a chance of showers and daytime high temperatures in the low 50s from Vancouver and Portland through Wilsonville and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, cloudy with a chance of showers mainly after 10 a.m. with highs in the low 50s. For Salem, Albany, and Corvallis, showers likely with a high near 51 in Eugene. In central Oregon, a slight chance of rain in Prineville and partly sunny and near 51. Mostly sunny and near 49 in Bend. A slight chance of snow, then mostly sunny in mid-40s in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, partly sunny and 55. Along the Oregon coast, a chance of rain in low 50s in Coos Bay. Rain likely in low 50s for Port Orford and Brookings. In Crescent City, California, clearing to partly sunny with a high near 52. In southern Oregon, a chance of showers then partly sunny in the Rogue Valley with highs in the low 50s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. Mostly sunny in the Klamath Basin with a high in the mid-40s. Into northern California with partly sunny skies for Wairika with a high near 49. Moving south with sunny skies in low 60s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento with lows in the mid-40s. In the Bay Area, early patchy fog, then mostly sunny in low 60s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the upper 50s. And today in San Jose, partly sunny and near 60. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
There you go, Mount Ashland. A little fog after some snow this morning.
Yeah.
It's going to be a beautiful day on the mountain. So gorgeous up there. Plenty of snow. Gosh, one of the great seasons of all time.
It is, yeah, and we're getting good snowfall and still more coming our way. Well, if you've, I'm sure a number of us have had Bible studies into the book of Acts, and it's amazing as you look at the steps, the early church, the followers of Jesus, how the Holy Spirit empowered them. And looking at the early church in the chapters of Acts, Dr. Anthony George highlights the genuineness of the early church.
Then you know what moves my heart is the great care they had for each other. They started modeling what might be called communal living, even though not everyone sold everything they had, because right after he says many people sold their possessions, it says they met in each other's homes. So obviously some people held on to their possessions. But the beauty of this is that they were willing to put their money where their mouth was and to help each other out, because many believers in this early church lost everything they had because of their faith in Christ. They lost family connections. They lost their source of income. They suffered social and economic strangulation. And what Luke is telling us is early Christians cared about the plight each other experienced. And something else it tells me this, that if your faith does not affect your finances, it is no faith at all. That when we follow Christ and we associate with His people, not only our heart will be moved to identify with the body of Christ, but so will our resources. We will want to be part of what God is doing, not only in the body of Christ, but in reaching others with the gospel, which is why the church has been left behind. And I love how it says they ate together with gladness and simplicity of heart. This is a closeness. This is an authenticity. They weren't joining a machine. They weren't just part of a movement. It wasn't a production. It wasn't a song and dance. It was about real, genuine relationships where people care about one another. This is the real mark of the Christian faith. Not big buildings and big budgets and celebrity Christianity, but people coming to Christ one at a time, and those in the body of Christ shouldering each other's burdens, lifting each other up, and helping one another get through dark and difficult times.
So right. And you know, I think people, especially people of faith, need to realize that the common ground that we share in our faith is much stronger and much bigger than any divide that comes between us in our politics.
Yeah.
And that's something I wish, especially people of faith, would keep in mind.
Yeah, his whole sermon here is terrific. He goes on and talks about the beggar at the beginning of the gate that was crippled from birth.
Yeah, yeah.
And he takes time to explain the situation and the history behind it. And that man, probably in his 40s, never walked a day of his life. And here comes Peter and basically reaches out and grabs him and takes him by the hand. And the Bible says instantly he stood up. He said the next scene, he said, first he took a step, but he said the next scene, he became full Pentecostal. He took a jump.
All right.
Leaping and praising God.
I love it. That's great.
That was really good. All right, good morning to you. Let's take a look at some of the headlines. And over the weekend, the fallout from the Fallout Friday in the Oval Office continues around the world between President Trump, President Zelensky, Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, all in the room. An amazing moment that has now been run 50 million times around the world. Everybody has seen what's happened there. At the end of the day, President Zelensky basically was biting the hand that feeds him, and it's very complicated, very complicated. And some of the comments on the left saying, you know, that President Trump is literally reading the headlines out of the Kremlin and the talking points out of the... It's just crazy. You got to read through this whole thing. I would invite you to watch the full 50 minutes before the last 10 minutes. And also, do yourself some intellectual favor, if you could. Google Victor Davis Hanson and read his 10 points about what happened. Well done. But in the meantime, President Zelensky left Washington, D.C., flew over to the U.K. and met with the new Prime Minister of the U.K., Starmer, and President from France, think of his name here in a minute.
Yeah, what's his name?
Macron, excuse me.
Thank you.
So they all get together and they have a little kumbaya moment. And so it looks like now they had a summit yesterday, of 18 European leaders coming together saying, oh, let's get in the game now. Basically. Now let's get in the game.
What were they waiting for?
I don't know. But anyway, here's a little bit of the take from the Prime Minister of Britain.
Generally, Europe needs to do more in its own defence and security, and that's why I've said we need to increase spending, we've got to increase capability, and we've got to coordinate more, because in the Ukraine conflict, we've seen that the coordination isn't there. I think then, on top of that, we need to be clear what a European security guarantee would look like. I do acknowledge, as you put this to me, that that's more likely to be, in the first instance, a coalition of the willing. In other words, we've got to find those countries in Europe that are prepared to be a bit more forward-leaning. I'm not criticising anyone here, but rather than sort of move at the pace of every single member, every single country in Europe, which would in the end be quite a slow pace.
So
I do think we've got to probably get to a coalition of the willing now.
UK, France, how many other countries?
I think UK and France are the most advanced in the thinking on this, and that's why President Macron and I are going to be working on this plan, which we'll then discuss with the US. That is a step in the right direction. This is not an exclusion. I'm not trying, the more the better in this, but we need to move to a quicker, more agile way of going forward, and I think that is a coalition of the willing at this stage.
Well, Where have they been all along? So we'll see. This is, look, all of this, come to the table late, but at least come to the table.
Yeah,
And so apparently that's what's happening. In the meantime, there is rumors, even this morning as this is progressing, that Zelensky is giving reconsideration of coming back to the United States because the pressure that he is now under to resign at home and among the EU is getting so intense that he may have to come back to the United States and make a deal. I don't know. We'll see where that goes. Anyway, his own media, which is limited, got to remember, he canceled media, he canceled re-elections, he's canceled social media. Anything that speaks out against him, he basically goes out and puts under his thumb.
Right.
But what remains there be somewhat of, in the legislature, and I don't even know how it functions.
Yeah, I don't either.
But one of their members of their legislature openly said this is absolute idiocy of what our president did in the White House, in the Oval Office.
Wow.
So he's getting pressure at home. In the meantime, what happened in the White House isn't the first time. President Biden had a very angry phone call with him back in 2022. It's just the cameras weren't rolling. Do you remember President Reagan and Gorbachev in Iceland coming together to have this big deal? And Reagan had enough and got up and walked out.
Yeah, you know, I remember reading an article, and Nancy was quoted as saying, "I knew the deal was off when Ronnie came walking out with that look on his face."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this isn't uncommon. It's just that it's uncommon to have the cameras rolling.
Yes.
So a lot of deals have gone on in diplomacy work where people flare. You didn't see it, but we saw it in Raw on Friday.
Yeah.
So the fallout from this is yet to continue. In the meantime, the president has to give the State of the Union address tomorrow, and it's expected to be somewhat contentious. If not, maybe we'll actually see a little bit like Parliament, where there'll be some booing going on.
Oh, golly, you might be right on that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait. Hopefully, some decorum will.
Yeah, but you know, there's one good thing.
You know what it is?
Yes.
And I told you. I said, when the president comes in tomorrow night, and he stands up there, and you go through all the pomp and circumstance, and he's standing up there, and he's getting ready to start his speech.
Right.
He had to stop and turn around and say, "Boy, am I glad to see you two guys up there." Which will be the Speaker of the House and the Vice President of the United States.
And it's not Pelosi. Yes.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
All right.
Want to be part of something impactful? Rogue Valley Habitat's first ever golf tournament is teeing off at Centennial Golf Course April 25th, and the smartest businesses in Southern Oregon are jumping in. Sponsorship packages from $500 to $5,000 include course signage, event promotions, and networking opportunities. Top sponsors receive tournament team entry. Ready to be a game changer? Call Tyler Hunter at 541-261-3520 today. Rogue Valley Habitat, building community one home at a time.
This is Sam, and he changed my life. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or traumatic brain injury, please go to AmericanHumane.org to learn about the Pups for Patriots service dog program.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
All right, good morning to you. Happy Monday. The old dogs are back.
Yeah.
We can and probably will be replaced.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Monday, back at it. Well, listen, there was an executive order over the weekend. This is interesting. Another first for President Trump. He's the first president and the first time in U.S. history to make English language the official language of the United States. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody talked about this. He did it.
My only question is, what took so long?
I don't know. I just hope it shows up in directions.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You buy something that has to be put together, and you get a manual about the size of a dictionary in 47 different languages.
Yeah, and when I call up and I get, through the switch exchange, wherever I'm calling the company, and they give me the options, do I just say English, or am I going to push 1 or 2, or is that option going to disappear, or what's going to happen?
So I guess if it's the official language, that means that you will literally have to take a foreign language in college.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If it's the official language.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I doubt that this will change
anything.
much.
I don't think it'll change anything.
But it is good to know we have a language.
There we go. Yeah. Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Peter. Good to see you while we're still here.
Okay. Here's some backyard bragging.
All right.
Mount Ashland is going to host, coming up this week, the Oregon High School Alpine Ski Racing State Championships.
All right.
And our own mountain has been selected again. We have done this in the past, but boy, the conditions couldn't be better.
You're right.
And more than 350 high school alpine racers from across Oregon will be coming to Southern Oregon along with their family and fans. They're talking thousands of people. This is why we have 427 hotels at the south end of town.
That is a great point. How many racers did you say?
350.
Oh, my goodness.
So 350 plus, coaches, staff, team, family, everything else.
Right.
So anyway, it's going to be great. And it's going to be from Wednesday through Friday, 5, 6, and 7. And I understand they're doing a first this year, and that is the 5th is a day for them to come up and practice.
Oh.
Normally they practice in the morning, race in the afternoon.
Right.
The mountain's going to open up the whole day for them to practice.
So that's Wednesday then, right? They're going to be yes, and because we're traditionally closed on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
It is.
Yeah.
So they're accommodating it very, very well. So congratulations to all that. And another little bit of backyard bragging. The Cascade Christian High School girls are moving to the 3A state championship tournament. This is the first time in over 13 years. They did beat Sutherland over the weekend 53-44, and that moves them into the second round of the Class 3A state playoffs on Friday. So it's been quite a while, 12, 13 years since they've been to that level. I've watched these girls play the other night, and I have to tell you, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these gals are making three-point shots.
I'll tell you what, there's some good shooters on this team. Man.
I mean, boy, they really got it down pat. So best of luck and congratulations.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's how we brag about things around here. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for a Monday morning. Thank you, Preston, over there at Smart Lawn. If you're smart, you'll call him and get this lawn. Or you'll go visit his wife, Stacy, over there at the Twin Peaks Ice Cream Company.
All right. Yes.
One or the other.
Yeah.
The Dow's not happy today, off about 10, almost 11 points. The Nas is down 100 and almost 20 points. And the S&P 500 down 26.5 points. So the ringing of the bell this morning, red ink, probably fallout from Friday. That did push gold back up to $28.89. That's up there. Silver still hanging in there about 32. And crude oil, it says it's up, but actually it's down, $72.50. That's down about $1.50 from last week.
Wow.
So we'll take that.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for energy will be the turnaround.
Yeah, I think that's the
Hopefully
truth,
it comes to a pump near you.
Yeah. Yes.
There you go.
Well, so what exactly went wrong last Friday in the Oval Office?
Oh, just about everything. It was bad all the way around.
It was.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you like to know the inside story about why? What exactly motivated Zelensky to turn on the, you mentioned, bite the hand that feeds you?
Look, this is so tricky. I understand Ukraine did not invade itself.
Right.
I get that. And we will be dealing with Russia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have to ask the management of this war. And Zelensky comes over, literally campaigns against Donald Trump because he had an open bank account with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Yeah, and
unaccounted for
bank account. Yeah,
he canceled re-elections, he canceled media, he canceled social media. He's run this thing with a tight fist.
Yes.
His approval rating, I understand, is around 2%.
Oh, wow.
I thought the more you look at this, and this was all over the mineral deal.
Yes,
the mineral deal was going to be the pond over here to bring everybody to the table, and it blew up. It blew up for various reasons.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It looks like to me he intentionally comes to do this thinking that he could sway the sympathy of people in his favor.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me, and I'm not the pro here, so I don't know.
Well, we know that things did go off the rails. They went wrong on Friday, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio was on CNN, and he explained why this was so frustrating to the Trump team.
For the last 10 days, in every engagement we've had with the Ukrainians, there's been complications in getting that point across, including the public statements that President Zelensky has made. But they insisted on coming to D.C. This agreement could have been signed 5 days ago, but they insisted on coming to Washington, and there was should have been a very clear understanding. Don't come here and create a scenario where you're going to start lecturing us about how diplomacy isn't going to work. President Zelensky took it in that direction, and it ended in a predictable outcome as a result. This is a serious thing. I mean, thousands of people have been killed, thousands. And he talks about all these horrible things that have happened to prisoners of war and children, all true, all bad. This is what we're dealing with here. It needs to come to an end. We are trying to bring it to an end. The way you bring it to an end is you get Russia to the table to talk. And he understands that attacking Putin, no matter how anyone may feel about him personally, forcing the president into a position where you're trying to goad him into attacking Putin, calling him names, maximalist demands about Russia having to pay for the reconstruction, all the sorts of things that you talk about in a negotiation. Well, when you start talking about that aggressively, and the president's a deal maker, he's made deals his entire life, you're not going to get people to the table. And so you start to perceive that maybe Zelensky doesn't want a peace deal. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't. And that active, open undermining of efforts to bring about peace is deeply frustrating for everyone who's been involved in communications with them leading up to today. And I think he should apologize for wasting our time for a meeting that was going to end the way it did.
You yourself have said previously that Putin cannot be trusted in negotiation. I mean, do you still feel that way, that Putin cannot be trusted in these negotiations?
Well, I was there yesterday when the president said in front of the media that our approach is going to be trust but verify. President Trump's made deals his entire life. He's not going to get suckered into some deal that's not a real deal. We all understand this. We understand it on our end for certain. And so the goal here is to get to a place we have to explore whether peace is possible. I've said this repeatedly. I don't know. I think it is, based on what they've said so far, but we have to explore that. How else is this war going to end? I ask people, what is the European plan to end this war? I can tell you what one foreign minister told me, and I'm not going to say who it was, but I can tell you what one of them told me, and that is that the war goes on for another year, and at that point, Russia will feel so weakened that they'll beg for a peace. That's another year of killing, another year of dying, another year of destruction, and by the way, not a very realistic plan in my point of view. So if there's a chance of peace, even if it's a 1% chance, that needs to be explored, and that's what President Trump is trying to do here.
Well, there's a part of the puzzle, and that is that he was pre-warned not to come and do what he did.
Oh, okay.
And that's another piece of the puzzle. So, in saying diplomacy doesn't work, at what point don't you use diplomacy? Okay, it was a different type of diplomacy where you use the mineral deal as the agent to bring people together. And here now you have the European Union over there saying, well, maybe we ought to come to the table now and start working, and we're going to present a peace deal to the United States. Have a nice day. That's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And so I think we just don't understand the complications. Right now, it's poor Zelensky because it was his country that got invaded by Russia and people died, and he's been a hero in trying to fight back.
Right.
I get that. But dealing with Putin, that's yet to happen, and it will come. But in the meantime, what has he done with the billions that we've sent him? And why can't he afford to put himself up for re-election and let the people have a choice in where they want their country to go?
Those are big questions, yeah.
You know?
Where did the money go?
So as we speak this morning, some of the headlines are that Zelensky is beginning to realize he blew it. Now, he probably won't apologize. His ego won't let him apologize.
Yeah.
But the situation may force him back to the Oval Office to sit down and make the deal. Because he is now being forced not only from the European Union He's being forced within to resign.
Do you think? Yes. Yeah.
And that pressure is going to bring him back to the table.
Do you think he survives this?
Does he survive this? I will say that after a deal is made and the ceasefire has occurred and maybe the war has ended, he's gone.
Okay. Do you think he realizes, and now that you don't negotiate these things in front of the U.S. press?
I don't know.
I mean, that was his big faux pas.
Look, this is a classic example of, how do I want to say this? It's a classic example of somebody, President Trump, playing chess.
Yes.
And Zelensky playing checkers.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
And so he's not experienced or polished to negotiate in an international deal.
Right.
He may be looking over here at Netanyahu and saying, I'm the reverse of Netanyahu, and trying to play off of that. But whatever he's thinking, he just bit the hand that gave him billions of dollars.
100%, yes.
And granted, he didn't start this war, but why isn't he truly interested in ending it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Why not that question?
Yeah. And were you a little bit surprised at the active role that the vice president got involved in this little spat?
Well,
J.D. Vance was like, he was on him.
I want to say this about J.D. Vance. Look, he's turning out to be great.
Yes, he is.
I want to say this carefully. He actually handled the room better than Trump did.
Yeah, and Trump let him go. Trump let him do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the way he handled the argument,
yes,
his demeanor, and the way he came about it,
you're right,
was a little classier than the president.
Right.
Don't send me an email.
Yeah, Trump
that's
got
just,
a little ticked.
That's just my opinion.
Right.
So, but at the end of the day, they were both on the same page. And so was Rubio sitting right next to Vance.
Oh, yeah.
He's in a slow burn.
Totally.
You know, so it's an amazing moment in geopolitical history.
Yeah, yeah.
Right in front of us.
Right on national TV, world television. Yes.
All right, well, we're going to take a world break. We'll be right back.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Your fears that seem paralyzing to you, your fears that may seem uncontrollable, they show you what you really value, what matters to you in this life. And that we have to remedy that not by valuing other things 0%, but by valuing Jesus more. Because when we know that He numbers the hairs on our head, that He controls the insignificant things like sparrows falling to the ground, we begin to think, yeah, He's got it, and I don't have to be in control. I don't need to fear.
Disasters happen, and Oregon faces a range of disaster threats, including earthquakes, floods, and storms. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be disaster ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Our goal at theDove is to glorify God and help our audience connect more closely with Him. Something else we do here at theDove is help connect our audience with reliable businesses and vice versa. Some call it advertising. Here at theDove, we call it outreach. Connecting businesses with people they can help and our audience with reliable businesses for the help they need. If you'd like to reach out to our audience with your business or service, give us a call, 541-776-5368.
All right, good morning to you. Happy Monday. Are you doing okay? Back at it, back to work, back to school? Think about it. Let me give you a real charge to enjoy this day.
All right.
Next Monday, it'll be an hour later.
Oh, gosh.
This coming Saturday, you're going to be setting your clocks ahead an hour earlier.
Yeah, disrupt your church service. Get there at the wrong time.
Yeah, come walking in later, come walking in early.
Either way.
Either way.
Yeah.
All right, good morning to you. Well, listen, we thought Friday was crazy, and it is. It's still fallout. But there's still a lot going on in the Middle East, so let's check in with CBN Newswatch and get caught up.
This is CBN Newswatch.
We began a busy Monday in the Middle East where Israel has stopped humanitarian aid into Gaza because Hamas has been diverting those aid supplies to its military. Israel's move comes as Hamas is still rejecting a ceasefire plan supported by the United States, which would have freed more hostages. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us the story now from Jerusalem.
U.S. Mideast envoy Steve Witkoff has put forth a plan that would extend the ceasefire in Gaza another few weeks and free the rest of the hostages over time. Israel signed on, but not Hamas.
In Witkoff's plan, half of the hostages would be released right away, and the remaining half would be released if we reach an agreement on a permanent ceasefire. Again, Israel has accepted this plan. I accepted this plan. But so far, Hamas has rejected it.
As a result, Israel is cutting off all aid and goods going into Gaza. Israeli officials say that during the ceasefire, more than 21,000 aid trucks entered the Gaza Strip, enough to last 4 to 6 months if Hamas distributes the supplies fairly. But with the militant group controlling the flow of resources, Israel says it can no longer risk sustaining what it calls a terror machine. The U.S. backs cutting off the aid.
We've done that because Hamas steals the supplies and prevents the people of Gaza from getting them. It uses these supplies to finance its terror machine, which is aimed directly at Israel and our civilians, and this we cannot accept.
If Hamas doesn't start to compromise, Israel's planning to go to all-out war to wipe out the terror group in Gaza and has authorized the mobilization of up to 400,000 reservists through May 2025. Top Israeli conservatives cheered Netanyahu's new, tougher stance. Former National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir tweeted, "This should be the policy until the last hostage is returned. Now is the time to open the gates of hell, cut off electricity and water, return to war." To aid Israel in its fight against Hamas and Iran's other proxies, the Trump administration is speeding up $4 billion worth of military sales to Israel. In expediting these sales, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he's reversing moves by the Biden administration to slow-walk weapons deliveries to Israel. Recently freed hostage Eli Sharabi has been speaking out on Hamas atrocities against their captives.
In the worst times, what do you eat?
In the worst times, you eat once a day a bowl of pasta.
And that's all the food you get for the day?
It's about 250 to 300 calories.
A day?
A day, which is a tenth of what I need.
In response to that video, President Trump has invited Sharabi and other freed hostages to meet with him at the White House this Tuesday. Meanwhile, a terrorist killed at least one Israeli and wounded several others in a knife attack in Haifa this morning. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I want to turn now to another major international conflict after Friday's blow-up between President Donald Trump and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Europe may finally be ready to take a more active role in ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. CBN's Dale Hurd is on this story.
Saying Europe is at a crossroads in history, 18 world leaders at a summit in London Sunday agreed to take new steps to stop the fighting in Ukraine. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the plan will include fresh military aid to Ukraine and economic pressure on Russia.
The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, This effort must have strong U.S. backing.
Ukrainian President Zelensky traveled to London just hours after his contentious meeting with President Trump on Friday.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
Democratic Senator Chris Murphy called Zelensky's treatment shameful.
The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Every single day, you hear from the National Security Advisor, from the President of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points. For the last week, the White House has been pretending as if Ukraine started this war.
Russia seems to agree. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Sunday that the administration's foreign policy configurations largely align with our vision. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was also in the office Friday, said he hopes relations between Trump and Zelensky can be repaired.
I hope this could all be reset. I hope he comes to the realization that we're actually trying to help his country here before it suffers thousands of more casualties.
But even staunch Ukraine supporters, Senator Lindsey Graham now says Zelensky needs to resign or send someone else to the next meeting with Trump. CBN News chief political analyst David Brody.
And if you're losing Lindsey Graham, that's not good. Specifically, Lindsey Graham also said just, late Friday afternoon, he said, I don't think we can work with Zelensky anymore. I think that's it. He either needs to resign or we need to work with someone else. Look, if Lindsey Graham is saying that, oh, gosh, Katie, bar the door.
Well, that's true. Lindsey Graham has been a hawk for Zelensky.
Yes.
Almost to the embarrassment of the right. But the point being is, in one meeting, he's completely turned on him.
Yes. Yep.
So I guess, I don't know if he was looking for an out. He was given one.
Yeah, he was.
But nonetheless, it's all over. All right. Here's a guy that, if he's looking for an out, he ain't going to find it.
Low pressure continues to bring a chance of showers across the top of our region. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly cloudy skies with a chance of showers and daytime high temperatures in the low 50s from Vancouver and Portland through Wilsonville and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, cloudy with a chance of showers mainly after 10 a.m. with highs in the low 50s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis. Showers likely with a high near 51 in Eugene. In central Oregon, a slight chance of rain in Prineville and partly sunny and near 51. Mostly sunny and near 49 in Bend. A slight chance of snow, then mostly sunny in mid-40s in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, partly sunny and 55. Along the Oregon coast, a chance of rain in low 50s in Coos Bay. Rain likely in low 50s for Port Orford and Brookings. In Crescent City, California, clearing to partly sunny with a high near 52. In southern Oregon, a chance of showers, then partly sunny in the Rogue Valley with highs in the low 50s for Grants Pass, Medford, and Ashland. Mostly sunny in the Klamath Basin with a high in the mid-40s. Into northern California with partly sunny skies for Wairika with a high near 49. Moving south with sunny skies in low 60s for Redding, Chico, and Sacramento with lows in the mid-40s. In the Bay Area, early patchy fog, then mostly sunny in low 60s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the upper 50s. And today in San Jose, partly sunny and near 60. It's a look at your Monday weather on the Dove.
All right, there we go. We got some scattered showers around today a little bit. There's a little of everything. Fog, rain, and some blue sky all mixed together. So we're keeping a little foggy at the top of the hill at Mount Ashland. And that's a pretty shot this morning.
Okay, it is National Anthem Day, and that's because this was the day that the President signed an order that basically made it the national anthem for the country, and it happened in 1931. Let me ask you this. When you're at a sporting event and the national anthem is played or sung, do you want it done straight, or do you want it done with how some artists like to put their own little spin on their own little version of the national anthem?
I guess I have become acceptable to some of it.
I am, but I like it traditional.
I like it traditional.
Yeah.
I like it right at the tail end when everybody's yelling and screaming, the home of the brave.
You know what I love, too? I love when the jets fly over.
And the jets fly over.
Then you got it gives me goosebumps.
The B-1s and the B-2s.
Right. Well, let's learn a little bit more about our national anthem.
On September 14, 1814, Francis Scott Key composed the lyrics to the Star-Spangled Banner after witnessing the massive overnight British bombardment of Fort McHenry in Maryland during the War of 1812. Key, an American lawyer, watched the siege while under detainment on a British ship and penned the famous words after observing with awe that Fort McHenry's flag survived the 1,800 bomb assault. After circulating as a handbill, the patriotic lyrics were published in a Baltimore newspaper on September 20th, 1814. Key's words were later set to the tune of To Anacreon in Heaven, a popular English tavern song. Throughout the 19th century, the Star-Spangled Banner was regarded as the national anthem by most branches of the U.S. Armed Forces and other groups, but it was not until 1916 and the signing of an executive order by President Woodrow Wilson that it was formally designated as such. In March of 1931, Congress passed an act confirming Wilson's presidential order, and on March 3rd, President Hoover signed it into law.
How about that? I think, we don't realize that it wasn't always the case. Although the U.S. Armed Forces had adopted it as their national anthem, and they used it way before it was officially the national anthem of the United States. So it's been around a long time.
It's not that old.
No.
Wow, that's good stuff.
All right.
All the way around. Well, former Ronald Reagan's economic advisor, Art Laffer, was commenting on the president's backing of U.S. companies in the foreign trade deal and his skills to make deals. And here's what he had to say.
I think he is the master of negotiation. They need our markets terribly. They need them really badly, and they are mistreating American companies. What I think Trump is going to succeed in doing is getting them to stop mistreating American companies and treat them correctly. It's like the Panama Canal one. Right. It's like Mexico with Scheinbaum. It's like Canada with Trudeau. He uses his stick until they comply, and then he really gets into lowering tariffs and getting more free trade. Trump is a master negotiator and has done a great job on that. Did you see what he did with transparency as well? Did you see what the new German president said, Merz said, about lowering, in fact, free trade with America, lowering tariffs on American products to zero? I mean, these are all things that Trump's going to succeed in doing because he is willing to take drastic action if he has to. But I don't think he's going to have to because I think they really want to comply.
Well, the bottom line with tariff is if you charge us 10, we'll charge you 10. You charge us 50, we'll charge you 50.
Right.
So he's trying to bring it back to a level playing field. But stop and think about this. When have we seen a president in our lifetime realize how much we have been taken advantage of globally?
Yeah, it's never happened before. Right.
Whoever thought that Panama was a problem?
Yeah.
Whoever thought that trade equity was a problem?
Yeah.
And the list goes on and on and on.
Yes.
This is the difference between a politician and a CEO.
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Oh, well. Good stuff all the way around. All right. We're going to take a tariff break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Lizer with Lizer Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Romans 1:20 tells us God's power is revealed in creation. Yet 2 Corinthians 4:4 reminds us that Satan has blinded many to the gospel. At the Life Outdoors, we've seen the truth of God. His eternal power and divine nature displayed in every mountain and stream. Follow along and let's wake the wild within. The mountains don't lie. Where there's truth, there's Jesus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your generous giving to the Dove.
We as a staff are so grateful you make it possible for us to broadcast hope.
All across the Dove TV and radio network.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your support is touching and changing many lives.
And bringing much needed news and information
from a Christian worldview.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for believing in, praying for, and supporting the Dove. Hey, welcome back. Now, Doge's doing a good job all over there. It's getting a lot of pushback. I will say to this about Elon Musk. Can I give you a little Elon Musk?
Yeah, I can't wait.
If Elon was sitting here and you were Elon, I'd say, tone it down, buddy. Okay. Take your hat off.
Yeah.
Put a jacket on. Okay. Be a little bit more, show some more decorum in this.
Okay.
Calm down. Your ego's going to ruin you. Okay? Just slow down. Do the job. Be humble about it. Move on. That's my 2 cents. But on the other hand, it's having an impact all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And even on us guys.
Yeah.
Look at this little poster that came out. I never thought Doge would affect me personally. My wife asked me to email her by midnight 5 things that I did around the house last week.
This is killing us.
This is killing us.
Oh, no. Imagine accountability.
You may want to tone it down a little bit.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful.
Okay, well, recently I had Bill Gallagher on, and we talked about parenting, and here's a clip discussing relationship and rules.
Relationship with rules equals respect.
That's good.
Rules without relationship, it's all about rules. First thing you say when you get home, Mom, Dad, equals rebellion eventually. Relationship without rules also equals rebellion. Wow. So you have one parent that generally is generally permissive and enabling, and they do everything for the kids. I'm exaggerating. And then you have another parent that rules with an iron fist. Both of those models equal rebellion. Relationship with rules equals respect. So that we're supposed to raise them to release them. Let's say that you go out in the world. You're 19 now. Now you're out of the house, and you love sales. You're going to be a salesman, and you go out into the real world, and you're rude to your suppliers. Now, if you're in the real world, you're 19 and you're in the real world, and you're an upcoming salesman, and you're rude to your suppliers. What do? They cut off your supplies.
Yeah.
Yet, if we're rude to, a lot of children and teens are rude to parents, we cave and give in to them. There was a book in the 90s written by a psychologist, and because of his word usage, I'm pretty sure he didn't know the Lord. But the title of the book was something like, Mom, I'm not blankety blank going to do what you're asking me to do, but can you drive me and Mary to the mall?
Wow.
That was the type name of the book. So rules without relationship, very important principles. Here's another one. Mean what you say and say what you mean. To your child, to your teen, mean what you say and say what you mean.
I leaned over to him and I said, so how did all this stuff work for you, Bill?
Go, Bill! Yes.
Well, listen, he's quite the counselor, and stuff to think about.
Yeah.
I will say a lot of this is easier said than done.
Right, yeah.
And that doesn't mean that everything's ironclad, but I think there's some really good points for you to take away from setting boundaries.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because he mentioned the fact that sometimes kids will go to one parent over the other because one will be a softer touch than the other. Did you ever see that, or did you ever do that as you were growing up?
Well, look, the answer is yes. I think that the good cop, bad cop thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's part of the psychology of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just you always want to be the bad cop, though.
I don't want to always be
the old
bad.
saying is, wait till your dad gets home.
Yes,
that just made you the bad cop.
Yes, indeed.
So I don't know. Those days are long gone, and I failed. But I didn't have any books. They don't come with manuals.
Right. And now I sit and I watch my kids raise their kids. I go, this is wonderful.
It's payback.
Yes,
Your
indeed.
job is to sugar them up and leave.
That's it, and I do it. Thank you very much.
We got some great guests coming up on Focus today. Frank Gaffney. It's been a while since I've had Frank on the air. He's vice president of the Committee of the Present Danger. And we have a lot to talk to him about, especially what's going on in Europe. So I look forward to that. And so stick around.
Well, Dr. or not, I should say, Mr. Tim Shoemaker from Focus. I can't wait for this. Talks about how to revitalize devotional time with your family with a campfire.
You've got, let's say your kids, they're starting to question junior high. Do I really have to go to church? Why do I have to go to church? Well, there's a lot of good reasons for that. But one thing you do is you take them to a fire pit or you get a campfire, and you want to make sure that one of the logs in there is about the thickness of your wrist, so you can take it out. And you get little squirt guns, water pistols, just the light duty ones for each of the kids, and say, okay, we've separated this log out of the fire. We're going to time it. Let's see how long it takes us to put it out. And so they squirted, so no open flames. When it's just down to smoldering, okay, great. And when I did it with one of my sons, it was 40 seconds. Okay, great, Luke, that's good. Now we went and filled up the squirt guns again. In the meantime, we put this back in the fire. I said, okay, now we got 40 seconds. We got to put that same log out. And of course, we couldn't do it. And the whole point was this, you know what? This is like this issue of going to church. You know, when we're out on our own, and so, you can use like those fireproof gloves to pull something out of the fire. It's just fun, right? And, when we're off by our own, we're an easy target. The enemy can extinguish our flame, our fire for the Lord. But when we get back to church, you know what? We get reignited. We're strong. We're bulletproof there. And so going to church, it's not just about what we get. It's about that strengthening thing and how we're strengthening others. Because out here, eventually, he'll put us out.
Wow.
These are modern-day parables.
And he's got a method of weaving these illustrations that are amazing.
These are modern-day parables. This is good. I thought the rat trap one was terrific.
The rat trap one, but did you see he had all kinds of props there with him?
Yeah.
I need to start collecting some of that stuff to make a point.
For your grandkids or your kids?
Yeah, for my grandkids. Yeah, it's like, hey, that was pretty cool, but it must be hard to travel.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. So how do you and Pam celebrate when your grandkids defy their parents?
I don't celebrate anything. I don't do it. I sit. Now you may see me smiling inside, but I don't express anything outside. Hey, this is Switzerland. I am not getting involved. I am neutral. You guys are doing this yourself.
You're supposed to get out on the table and go 1, 2, 3.
Nope. I have learned I do not get in the way.
Have you learned since then your grandkids are actually individuals?
Yeah, they are. Indeed. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
And where'd they come from?
Yeah. I wonder sometimes.
Are they from Earth, or they come on the last Elon ship come back from Mars or something?
I just don't know. Isn't it interesting, though, that you learn the new role that you're in?
Yeah, you do.
You do.
So, a question, don't answer it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Do you and Pam correct your grandkids?
I'm going to answer it. Only in a life or death situation.
Okay. All right, there you go.
That's it.
All right, James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. Good for you today. Count it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. There you go. Even the tough times are allowed by God to kind of strengthen you and make you buck up.
Yeah, that's really important to remember.
All right, stick around. We got some great guests today. Enjoy the weather and prepare yourself for losing an hour's sleep Saturday night.
Oh, thanks.
The
launch event is like a training for the younger pro-life generation to be a better pro-life advocate. I think the best part about launch was that it taught us how to argue and then put us on a college campus to argue the pro-life position. Not a lot of knowledge is required to go into launch. You just have to be pro-life and willing to learn.
Join us March 23rd through 26th in Salem, Oregon. Visit ortl.org/launch for more information. Scholarships available. Please email info@jacksoncountyprolife.org.
It can be puzzling assembling all the right pieces for your insurance needs in retirement. I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Guiding you through the stormy seas of insurance, Lighthouse stands out as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
I'm holding the many prayer requests that arrive here at the Dove. We're grateful that you include us with your prayer needs. As a staff, know that we join you and pray over your requests for God's help. Have a prayer need? Let us know by going to thedove.us.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
That the Chinese hackers have the ability to cripple America's power grid and ports. Does that include Panama Canal? By the way, you know what has kind of just drifted away? We never found out any inclusive conclusion to the drones over.
Yeah, where did that
Virginia.
story go? What happened?
Wake up to encouragement and information. Mornings on the Dove, weekdays only on the Dove TV. You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for San Rafael and the North Bay. Seen on KQSL 17 and these Dove TV affiliates.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and it's been too long, but I am always delighted when we have time to sit down with Frank Gaffney. Frank is a special guest we have here, and he's the host of Securing America TV. He's also the Real America's Voice and vice chair for the Committee on the Present Danger, China, which defends Americans through public education and advocacy dangers posted by the People's Republic of China. Frank is the host of Secure Freedom Radio and the founder and president and CEO of Save the Persecuted Christians. So he's very busy. His website is securingamerica.tv. And there's a picture of the landing page, securingamerica.tv. Brother Frank, good to see you, friend. How are you?
I couldn't be better, especially since I'm with you, Perry. Nice to see you again.
You're so kind. Thank you. Thank you. Well, listen, before we get into all these other things, what's your 30,000-foot view of the scrimmage in the White House on Friday?
I'm of the view that it was deeply regrettable, for one thing. And, you know, unfortunately, it was, if you actually watched the entirety of the press availability, the last 10 minutes were so discordant. They were, you know, obviously the case. Both the president and J.D. Vance were trying to be welcoming and I think supportive of their visitor, President Zelensky of Ukraine, and he was on his best behavior too, it seemed. And then, you know, the whole thing jumped the rails. I hope not permanently. my own feeling about it, Perry, is that the kind of arrangement that Trump was working towards of a deal that would involve the United States becoming actively involved in mining operations and presumably other economic activity in Ukraine is a sensible way to try to establish both that there is, some financial compensation, if you will, for what the Biden administration sluiced into Ukraine on the one hand, and also some engagement on an ongoing basis that will provide a deterrent to Putin thinking that he can simply pick up where he left off at his convenience, if there is, in fact, some sort of ceasefire or even a peace agreement.
It's I agree with you. I always tell people, at least during the morning show here, watch the full 50 minutes. You'll get a better feel of the last 10. It went off the rail. And then all of a sudden you look at the Secretary of the Treasury said that he knew going in that Zelensky going into the Oval Office wasn't going to go for the mineral deal. And I guess I'm trying to scratch my head. If there was anything on the table that could become the avenue to bring the parties together to start talking, the mineral deal would have been it. And I wonder why he turned it down.
Well, honestly, there's a lot of psychoanalysis going on here, and the Treasury Secretary probably has a better fix on a lot of it than I do. But I just am not altogether clear that he did turn it down so much as in the heat of the moment, he created conditions under which the president was not about to sign that day, and have a lunch for him, and then do a joint press conference with him, and so on. That was obviously a bridge too far. But my sense is it is in the interest of both countries, and that they will revert to it. At least I certainly hope they will.
Yeah. In the meantime, back to your specialty here in so many areas, the president has called for Europe allies to move their spending from 2% to 5% with NATO. I guess over the weekend, because of the spat in the Oval Office, a bunch of them came together over the weekend in Europe and met together on how to maybe salvage the deal. And am I hearing it correctly that they're now thinking, well, maybe we should increase our spending to NATO? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think you are. It's a little unclear whether it'll be spending to NATO or whether it'll just be defense spending, which, assuming NATO persists, and I think it will, would then help both meet their present obligations to a 2% of gross domestic product and get it north of that. Quite as far as the is looking for, but considerably more. And ironically, the focus on all of that at the moment is a function of the step two, or more generally, shall we say, some of the comments that were made by Vice President Vance in Munich and at NATO 2 weeks ago, I guess it is now. And sort of the general thrust of President Trump's policies towards Europe at the moment, they're suddenly seized with an insecure.
Okay, we're having a little bit of problem here. Let me do this. We'll take a quick break and we'll reconnect with Frank. While we're doing that, let me say that his website is securingamerica.tv. There's a picture of the landing page. We'll take a quick break now, and we'll try to get that cleared up, and we'll be right back.
Looking to find loyal, reliable customers to grow your business? theDove is a perfect place to reach them. Hello, I'm Nancy Worth, Vice President of Marketing and Sales at theDove. theDove, reaching over 6 million consumers on a daily basis. theDove offers a faithful audience who will appreciate and remember your partnership. Partner with theDove and watch your business flourish. Sound good? Find out more. Call or email me, Nancy Worth, at theDove today.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Okay, welcome back, and we got all the technical things hopefully corrected. Always an honor to have with us Frank Gaffney's back with us, the host of Securing America TV, and he's also the host of Secure Freedom Radio, and he's the founder and the president and CEO of Save the Persecuted Christians. So Frank's a busy guy. His website is securingamerica.tv, and there's a picture of his landing page. Sorry about that, Frank. Hopefully we got that worked out. I want to come back to...
Perry, I just have to say, I heard Microsoft is pulling the plug on Skype. I was afraid they were doing it today.
You know, it's interesting you'd say that. The buzz in our own engineering department this morning is Microsoft fooling around with Skype. Give me a break.
Yeah.
We'll look at that.
Just another big tech attack on our people.
Well, you know what it is. What do they say? You buy your competitor and then you eliminate them.
Yeah. Well, this is the Chinese model.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So I want to come back to what's happening in Europe, whether or not they increase their NATO expenditures from 2% to 5%. The bottom line is what President Trump has brought to light is that basically America has been paying for Europe's defense. And I think he's a little tired of that. And if we were to pull out of NATO, that would be horrific. And if we were able to negotiate something with Russia to get out of Ukraine, that leaves America pretty much the powerhouse. I don't know if that is all realistic, but am I misreading this?
Well, I don't think that it's in prospect at the moment that Russia's going to get out of Ukraine. Very much as I'd like to see that. They seized part of the Donbass and then Crimea a decade ago, 11 years, I guess now, and they're not going to relinquish those areas, and they've now conquered a lot of other territory in Ukraine, and I think they will probably expect to hold on to all of that too. The question really is that going to be the extent of it? If there's a ceasefire, or better yet, a peace agreement that recognizes that is, unfortunately, the reality of the situation. Will that feed Putin's territorial ambitions for conquests elsewhere, or will he say, okay, Donald Trump is in office now, I'm not going to, engage in further acts of aggression? I don't know, and it's one of the things that I think is that was, really very much animating Zelensky in that White House conference. He said, with feeling, and I think entitled to be rather emotional about it, we've seen a lot of deals with Putin, and he has not honored them, especially when he thinks he can get away with worse behavior. So whatever, I did a commentary this morning, Perry, and I said it's a lot easier to reach pauses in a conflict than it is to resolve the conflict. Mm-hmm. There's a practice in you want to talk about the Middle East, this is top of mind for me, of what's known as Hudna in the Muhammad, perfect example for the Islamic faith. He engaged in a ceasefire, if you will, at a time with a tribe that he was at war with when he was losing the war. He used the pause to regroup, to rearm, and then to resume the hostilities at a time of his choosing, to the great detriment of that other tribe, by the way. And that's now, the tradition under which many in the what I call Sharia supremacist camp engage in. We're seeing it in the Middle East at the moment, and I think there's reason for Ukraine to be concerned that might be the upshot if this were to happen now.
So, Frank, the president's obviously taking a lot of heat for what happened Friday in the Oval Office, and his people that don't like him saying that he's in Putin's camp and that he's doing nothing but delivering the talking points of the Kremlin, and the list goes on and on and on. I guess the question is, what do we do with Putin now?
What I believe Donald Trump very much is intent on doing is not just getting him to stop the war in Ukraine, but to switch sides, to essentially abandon the so-called no-limits partnership that Putin struck with Xi Jinping, the dictator of communist China, back in February of 2023. In fact, interestingly enough, right before Putin went into Ukraine in the most recent episode, the war there now. I personally believe, Perry, that was that no limits partnership was in part the green lighting by Xi of that invasion. A green lighting, by the way, that preceded in what I call the acts of strategic arson in which Xi has engaged, the invasion of Israel by Iran's proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, and the attacks by Iran itself. So all of these are things that I think are operating in the background, and I think Trump very much would like to see, not necessarily because he trusts Putin or he thinks Putin is going to be anything other than what he is, which is a ruthless thug, but that he might be aligned against China rather than with it against us. That's a strategic goal that I think has some distinct appeal. I don't think it's very likely, to be honest, but that I think is operating for the president at the moment.
To that point, I've read some articles where, to underscore what you just said, might be one of the strategies that's on the president's mind, because the only thing that Putin gets out of China is really a fuel contract, so to speak, where the United States could not only provide other resources for Russia in the way of trade. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, Putin is sitting over there probably smiling with this whole mess at the moment. Do you think Zelensky in the long term survives? And the reason I ask that, his greatest ally in the Senate turned on him. That's Lindsey Graham. I mean, he went from being a flag-waving supporter to saying he needs to go.
I don't know. It's obviously a matter for internal Ukrainian politics, and those have been pretty muddy for a while now. He's past his term in office. They're saying you can't have elections during a war, and there's something to that, of course, though other countries have done so. In this case, my own personal assessment is that Zelensky has such a checkered record, notably with respect to corruption, that it seems to me the people of Ukraine would be well served by his standing down to be replaced by perhaps one of the prominent generals who has emerged as an alternative to him. But I don't know that that's in the cards. I don't think the fact that Lindsey Graham has turned on him is dispositive. The question is, have the people of Ukraine turned on him, and will they act through, presumably, their elected representatives to do something about it?
The other question I want to swing your attention to, Frank, because you're kind of a hawk on this. With all this going on, how do you see China these days?
Well, some have actually said I'm a super hawk, which I prefer to being just a plain vanilla hawk. But look, I don't mean to make light of this. I personally believe the Chinese Communist Party, led by Xi Jinping, is determined to destroy this country. And it's not just my inference or my speculation. That's what they say. And they say it all the time in English in their propaganda outlets. They've actually declared war on us going back to May 2019. And before that, for decades, they didn't declare it. They just did it, a sort of unrestricted warfare, as we call it. We have a wonderful coalition we call the Committee on the Present Danger of China. Perry, as I think you know, we do a weekly webinar. We've done about 200 of them, I think, to date. They are sort of a crash course on what the Chinese Communist Party is up to and the various lines of attack. You can't even sample that output without coming away with the distinct understanding that whatever we think of China, whatever we want with respect to China, what they want is the end of the United States as an impediment to what they believe, the Chinese Communist Party believes, is its rightful place in the world, which is as the hegemon, as the dominant power, the middle kingdom, the center of the universe, as they call it. So those are the things that operate in my mind, and I think we ignore them at our peril, especially, Perry, and this is the thing that really does keep me up at night. There are, by some estimates, tens of thousands of People's Liberation Army soldiers, that is to say the Chinese Communist military, in our country, thanks to Joe Biden's open borders. And by the way, the sort of fast-tracking their arrival into this country by reducing the kind of investigation or interrogation that they were subjected to from something like 40 questions to just 5. I mean, it was y'all come, and they did. And what they are prepared to do to us from inside our wire, if you will, is a very, very worrying thing indeed.
How would you describe China's economy?
I think it's in difficulty. I think it, like its political system, is under acute stress, as is its population. The demographic crisis is almost hard to imagine. As I'm sure you know, by some estimates, the Chinese communists are, as a result of their so-called one-child policy towards reducing the size of their population, are now looking at reducing it perhaps by the end of the century to one that's smaller than ours, from 1.3 billion to, maybe 300 some million. I don't know that any nation, even in time of war, has sustained that kind of fundamental transformation, as Barack Obama might call it. And the consequences are hard to get your head around.
Wow. Let me swing your attention, what time we have left, Frank, over to the Middle East. And we've seen a dramatic change in the relationship between the United States and Israel since the election, and certainly the support that they've been looking for. You got Syria now in the mix with Turkey coming in. Hezbollah is damaged but not out. Hamas is damaged but not out. Houthis are damaged but not out. You think it's imminent that some kind of attack will occur on Iran and maybe even a regime change?
I'd add to your list the prospect of Egypt going to war with Israel. They've been pouring large numbers of forces into the Sinai, poised for that purpose, I believe. And Jordan could go at any time. To answer your question, Israel is in a truly endangered state. And the prospect that that might be compounded at any moment by the Iranian regime finally proclaiming that it has nuclear weapons, which it may well already have, and they just haven't acknowledged it. I don't know. But if not, it's any day now. This could give rise to a circumstance in which Israel feels absolutely compelled to attack. And if they do, I think we should help them, not boots on the ground, but support that attack. And that the attack should not just be aimed at the elusive, widely distributed, and deeply buried nuclear program of Iran. It should be aimed at weakening the regime so that the people of Iran at last can remove it, the scourge that it's represented to them and the danger that it poses to us as well as Israel.
So you would, excuse me, you would expect that Saudi Arabia probably will give a wink and a nod, so to speak, to go fly over their airspace to do something in Iran. They even could maybe come into the accord, I don't know. But I think to your other point, Frank, all of us have our brain on tilt that all along Egypt's been complicit because the tunnels originated in Egypt.
Absolutely right. You know, what's particularly worrying is despite evidence that that was so, I mean, we now have proof positive as a result of what Israel has discovered under the Rafah corridor as a result of the invasion. But for years, I think it's been pretty clear that the Egyptians were allowing stuff to be smuggled into Gaza, if not above ground, certainly under. And the trouble is, as we ignored that, we continued to pour, you know, basically our frontline weapons, more or less, including M1A1 tanks, which we now make in Egypt to be integrated into the Egyptian military. So Israel now faces, including in some numbers in the Sinai, as I said, you know, very capable armaments, if not fully comparable to their own, certainly approaching it. And in the hands of a large number of Egyptians. How effectively they would fight remains to be seen, but we've been training them as well as arming them for years, and it's a very parlous situation, I think.
Wow.
And then you touched on it in passing there, the fact that Turkey is now in Syria with its proxies there and clearly interested in getting into Jordan, and I think actually coming to blows with Israel as part of its design to establish a new Neo-Ottoman empire, a new caliphate, if you will, throughout the Middle East and perhaps beyond. It's a very, very fraught moment indeed.
Doesn't that put pressure on the United States to reconsider its membership in NATO if they're going to allow Turkey to be a part of it?
The trouble is, there is no institutional mechanism for getting Turkey out. And I would be the first to say we should be doing that. It is not an ally. I mean, in the past, it has been an important one, but not under Erdogan by any means. I would not withdraw from NATO over that, but I would certainly be about figuring out how do you eject a nation that has gone from a cornerstone, certainly on that southeastern flank of the NATO alliance, into a menace to our members as well as Israel and many others besides.
You would think that that would be a breach of the statute alone of being a member of NATO, that they now have become an enemy of NATO.
You'd think so. And at the very minimum, you'd think it's not really a good idea to be continuing to treat them as a friend, like sharing intelligence with them and selling them arms and other steps that are empowering this regime, which, by the way, is also working with China.
Yeah.
And to some extent with Russia as well. I mean, this is a very, very dubious business. I think that one of the things, if Donald Trump is intent on upping NATO's game, it has to be very seriously undertaken, and that is saying, look, if you are not with NATO, you cannot be part of the NATO alliance.
Good stuff. One last question. I want to go to your other role, heading up the Save the Persecuted Christians. We have heard some horrible news come out of Africa. Can you give us an update on those massacres?
Well, it's happening on a scale simply unimaginable. The persecution of Christians. Our friends at Open Doors USA estimate that, as you probably know, Perry, 385 million Christians are being brutally persecuted, heavily persecuted, not just, having bad days, can't get jobs and that. These are people who are being tortured, who are being raped, who are being imprisoned, who are being, in some cases, killed, in some cases actually en masse. And that is happening in Nigeria in particular at the moment. There's an ongoing and very, very deadly jihad that has been mounted by the so-called Fulani and other elements, ISIS in the West Africa and Boko Haram and so on, all of which fall under that category that I called Sharia supremacists a moment ago, Perry. And that means that they are all intent on doing what Muhammad taught is Allah's will, which is to subdue, to compel submission by Christians, Jews, people of other faiths, and that means even killing them if it's deemed necessary. And in this case, they deem it necessary because the Muslims in Nigeria, especially these Fulani tribesmen, are intent on driving Christians out. It's about half the population, about 100 million people, but they've been doing this kind of attack on them in their villages across Nigeria for years. And every week there are 20 or hundreds even of Christians that are being murdered, with their government doing precious little about it. And frankly, until recently, I think our government ignoring it, enabling it by saying, oh, no, this isn't about jihad. This is about farmers versus herdsmen. No. It's kind of like out of Oklahoma. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But this is just one symptom of what I consider to be really the spiritual warfare of our time. Yeah. And it's just happening at an unbelievable scale to Christians just because they follow our Lord Jesus Christ.
Wow. Thank you, Frank, for your time. It's been too long. Let's stay connected. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, securingamerica.tv is Frank's website where you can go and stay connected with him and enjoy what
May I give you two others, Perry? Sure. Just quickly?
Sure.
I've actually got a new institutional arrangement. I'm the president of the Institute for the American Future. And people can learn about what we do there at usfuture.org, usfuture.org, as well as at our Substack, which is securingamerica.substack.com. Okay. Thank you.
Well, you're busy.
Yeah.
Good to see you, brothers. Let's stay connected. Thanks for your time.
Will do. Thank you, sir. God bless.
From top home sellers in the Valley with John L. Scott
to making RV consignment effortless.
American RV, where Team Toner gets your RV sold fast.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the Trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley Zone K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in the future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
Life is complicated enough. Why worry about what to do with your extra car? Skip the costs of maintaining it, storing it, insuring it, or renewing registration. Car repairs? Forget about it. Here's one easy solution to your car problem. Donate it to our station. It's fast, free, tax deductible, and if you donate, you're going to feel incredible knowing you're supporting quality programming. Interested? Just call this toll-free number or donate online. Thank you.
For a free copy of The Word for You Today Quarterly Devotional, visit theDove.us.
Something to think about from the Dove TV.
And so the cross has come down through all the centuries, passing its unfailing judgment upon the vanities, the prides, the hates, the greeds, and the self-indulgent pleasures and lusts of men. It condemns them. The cross says to the world, you're a sinner, and the world doesn't like to hear that. It becomes a conscience to the world. The scripture says men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. So much of the evil that's done in the world is done when the sun goes down. And the later at night, in our country, it seems that so much of our crime is committed at night. Our deeds are evil. So much of the immorality is committed at night. Our deeds are evil. We don't want the light to shine on them. And the cross throws a great searchlight on the evil of the world. And we don't like that. We don't want the searchlight of the cross coming into our hearts and saying, you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty before God.
Something to think about from the Dove TV. Get more at theDove.us. Something to think about from the Dove TV.
To whom much is given, much shall be required, he said. Think of living in America with all of its advantages. A church on almost every corner, a Bible in almost every hotel room, millions of Bibles available, the gospel by radio and television. Think of living here. He's going to judge us by the opportunities we had. Think of the Christian literature that's available at bookstores. And we don't take advantage of it. To whom much is given, much is required. You say, well, Billy, even on that score, I can't make it. No. But the glory of this whole thing is that there is a gospel. And the gospel is good news to people like you who are sitting there saying, well, I'm guilty. The good news is that God sent his son Jesus Christ to the cross to die for you. And God took those sins of yours and those failures of yours and laid them on Christ. He became sin for us. Now, he said, the just and the righteous are going to get to heaven. How am I going to get a justness and a righteousness of my own when I don't have any? I'm a sinner. I don't weigh enough to get to heaven. But on the cross, Christ provided a justness for me. He provided a righteousness for me that I didn't have. And I am acceptable tonight by God, not because I've been good or because I've read the Bible or because I've preached to crowds of people. I'm acceptable because of Christ. I'm accepted into the beloved because of him. And that's your privilege at this moment.
Something to think about from the Dove TV. Get more at theDove.us.
Attention golf lovers and local supporters. Join Rogue Valley Habitat for Humanity's inaugural golf tournament Friday, April 25th at Centennial Golf Course in Medford. 4-person scramble with 9 a.m. shotgun start. $600. Get your dream team, the full VIP treatment, greens fees, carts, prizes, tournament gear, and banquet tickets. Register by March 1st for our early bird special, a free team player pack worth $100. Time to show off those skills while helping local families achieve affordable homeownership. Register at roguevalleyhabitat.org or call 541-261-3520.
I wanted to know how I could access the spirit realm the same way that she had. I have my rituals, I'm a yoga teacher, all of the things. So why do I still have this sadness? What in the process am I missing here? Some part of my soul just knew, cry out to Jesus, and that's what I did.
Watch the 700 Club Tuesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
For some people, the single greatest discouraging factor in their life is their perceived lack of forward movement in God. There are many Christians that feel stagnant, and they're generally self-condemned. They don't need the devil to condemn them, they're self-condemned. Let me assure you, my friend, the Lord is not through with you. He is working in you. Philippians 1:6 says, being confident of this very thing, that he who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. He's begun the work. He'll carry it on until the day of Christ's return. He's not going to give up on you. He's not going to cast you aside. Psalm 138 and verse 8 says, the Lord will perfect that which concerns me.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Welcome back. Well, as we know, there's a lot of changes going on in Washington, a lot of shakeups, and as they continue to get involved in agencies and audit agencies, they're uncovering a lot of things that we may suspected were there, hope that it wasn't there, and found out in many cases it's worse than we ever can possibly think. So very timely for me to have back with us Orrin McIntyre, the author of The Total State and How the Liberal Democracies Become Tyrannies. He's also the host of the Orrin McIntyre Show and often a columnist for Blaze News. The cover of the book there on the screen, and you can check that out at online, Total State, The Total State. He does have a website, orrinmcintyre.substack.com. And by the way, it's spelled A-U-R-O-N, McIntyre.substack.com. Orrin, good to see you. How are you, friend?
Doing well. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so your book and everything deals with the fact that you obviously, we all realize something's been under the covers for a long time, and I think we're a little bit on tilt that it's worse than we thought. You recently published a couple of articles discussing the rise of unaccountable government. What's behind that?
Well, as we've discussed before, the United States, unfortunately, has seen an evolution in the way that its government was run. It has strayed very far from the constitutional understanding and framework that was set up by those that created this country, and has instead moved towards unaccountable bureaucracy. Unfortunately, that's become pretty obvious over the last decade or so. Very few people looking at the presidency of Joe Biden believed he was ultimately in charge of what was going on. But now that we see the rot at the heart of the total state, now that we're seeing what that bureaucracy was actually dedicated to, we're recognizing how horrendous things have been. We knew it was bad, but when you look at, for instance, the dismantling of USAID, we recognize the amount of foreign aid that was really just going to fund the most heinous progressive leftist projects around the world. It would be bad enough if our money was being stolen, if the American people were being taken for a ride, but it's even worse when the money is actively being deployed to fund some of the most evil things you can imagine. The idea that we're pushing atheism in Nepal, or we're pushing a transgender comic book in Peru, or a transgender musical in Colombia. These are all horrific things that our money is being dedicated to, and yet this has been done without any accountability up until this point.
Okay, so here they are uncovering. Of course, the left is up in arms. Legacy media is coming unglued and all this and that. I guess you would expect that. But at the same time, I think Americans are saying we not only don't like the way the country's going, we're almost in shock that it was as bad as it is. We're heading down the road of cleaning it up. Do you think we'll succeed?
Well, we're already seeing important first steps. Like we said, the end of something like USAID is huge because even though the total money amount, it doesn't touch anything like, say, entitlements, Social Security, those kind of things in the federal budget, the amount of money going into these massive progressive causes around the world really kept this entire architecture of ideology afloat. It is something that was making sure that all these NGOs and other organizations around the world continued to perpetuate the type of rot that we're talking about. We're also seeing that guys like Chris Rufo are tearing into the Department of Education, or now even the intelligence community. The fact that we just found out that there was a giant transgender chat room being operated inside our intelligence agencies like the CIA or the Department of Homeland Security, and that there was all kinds of different machinations going on here, not just with their own personal sexual escapades, but also their desire to recruit others, form some kind of resistance to Donald Trump. Obviously, this is just nefarious stuff that was operating at the highest levels inside the American government and the deep state. And the fact that this is being exposed and people like Tulsi Gabbard are declaring war on this is ultimately very heartening. That's why Trump had to bring in people like Tulsi Gabbard that were hated by the very communities that they are now in charge of. They needed someone who was coming from the outside, who didn't owe anything to anyone in the establishment and would be willing to do the hard work of cleaning this up.
Okay, so in the meantime, as they uncover what seems to be worse than they anticipated, does this slow down the president's agenda?
Well, obviously, there's a good amount of rot, again, that has to be pulled out of all of this. And I hope that ultimately Donald Trump is willing to burn some of these organizations down to the core if necessary in order to get this ideology out. If you don't get it root and branch, then the people who were responsible for it arising in the first place will continue what they were doing. The good news about Donald Trump this time around is it seems like he was prepared for the necessity of this action, and he's continuing his flood the zone strategy. The media has already complained multiple times about the fact that Donald Trump and his administration are moving so fast that they can't possibly keep up. They can't create the level of outrage and resistance that they did in his first term, and they are basically getting bowled over by the amount of action that is taking place in this administration. And so it would seem, at least at the beginning of this, that the Trump administration is able to expose this stuff, go after it, and keep pace with the agenda. But this is, of course, a marathon, not just a sprint. And so ultimately the question will be, can they maintain this pace? I hope that the answer is yes. And the fact that Trump has gotten so many of his Senate confirmation picks this time as compared to last time is, again, heartening, because it means he has the personnel in place to go ahead and carry out the type of agenda that he was elected to do.
There's another part of this, Orrin, that's really interesting. While we uncover this, it's somewhat globally embarrassing that we have this rot, but at the same time, this exposure has given hope to other countries. How do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just over in London for the ARC conference, the one that Jordan Peterson has put on, and there's a large degree of politicians from the UK, Canada, Australia, all coming in. And there's this simultaneous feeling where some of the more establishment politicians are scared to follow Elon and Donald Trump. They think that ultimately there could be some kind of blowback in their own countries if they saddle up beside those figures too closely. But they're also inspired by what's going on. And anyone under, I'd say, 50 there was incredibly enthusiastic about the idea that their own country could follow in the steps of the United States. In a lot of ways, the United States was ground zero for this kind of managerial revolution that took over the government and spread this woke mind virus through all of these different organizations, but it's also ground zero for the solution. And I think it's great that a lot of the average people in these countries are recognizing the momentum they could bring, but also the politicians are finally recognizing that they don't need to bow and scrape to progressivism anymore. There's a new sheriff in town, and they can recognize the viability of taking the same type of action that we're seeing in the United States in their own country.
So, in the meantime, does Elon Musk survive?
Well, a lot of people have tried to play off the Elon Musk and Trump dynamic. They want to make Trump, who is famously someone who enjoys the limelight, enjoys the praise, they want to make him jealous of Elon. They want to call him the real president or the shadow president, these kind of things, hoping that they will play off against each other. They will antagonize each other and eventually drive a wedge between them. But I don't think that's going to happen. Ultimately, Elon Musk was very important to Donald Trump's ascendance in the second term. We all look now back at the acquisition of Twitter as possibly one of the most important political actions that has taken place in 50 plus years. And so there's a very important role that Musk plays inside the administration. Also, this time around, Trump seems more comfortable with delegating. He recognizes the importance of getting competent people who are loyal to him, dedicated to the MAGA cause, and are ultimately willing to execute on that. And he doesn't feel as it isn't as important to him to be involved in every single decision, to have his thumb on the scale every single time. So while a lot of people are trying to drive this wedge between Elon and Trump, I don't really see that forming right now.
So, obviously the left is coming unglued, and they have accused him of just being vindictive and a dictator and all that stuff. So, but the end of the day, it looks like to me what he's doing is he's using his new team to expose the rot, which takes out his enemies by sheer not only discrediting them, but just ruining their reputation. He doesn't have to spend time going after them legally. He just ruins them by exposing what they've done. Is that part of it?
Yeah, and ultimately, I think the response that you're seeing from the left is what happens when you have an actual executive in the office. For so long, the executive branch has been more or less farmed out to expertise, to an oligarchic technocratic class that's taken over so much of what's going on. And so the vigorous use of constitutional executive power scares the people who are deeply invested in that mode of operating the government. But if you've read the Federalist Papers, you know that in Federalist 51, famously, Hamilton says that ambition has to check ambition. You need robust branches of government that are going to push back against each other when one overextends. It's been very clear for a long time that the left, progressives, and even a number of people in the Republican Party were really comfortable with the idea that the president was more of a vestigial office, that ultimately guys like Anthony Fauci and other experts should run the country with just the fig leaf of an elected leader standing in front of them. But that is not what the American people want. It's not what the Constitution says. And this time around, it's not what Donald Trump is allowing. And that is very encouraging.
As we uncover more of the rot, it does create a further disconnect in trust in government. On the other hand, this is the healthiest thing we can do to restore that trust. Do you think that can be accomplished?
It can be, but it is a tricky thing. Like you said, we really do need to strip out some of the trust that existed in government, and more importantly, the expert class, before we can go back and restore the integrity of these institutions. The institutions have to start doing what they say on the label. We had a Department of Education that didn't educate any of the children. We have a Department of Homeland Security that had no interest in actually protecting the people of the United States. A Federal Bureau of Investigation that only investigated the political enemies of the Democratic Party. If we want any of these institutions to mean anything anymore, they have to start doing what they're supposed to do. And in some cases, like the Department of Education, they should just be done away with because they never did what they said they were going to do. The Department of Education has been a failure since its very beginning, and there's simply no reason to keep it around. So by choosing which institutions ultimately to keep, which ones to reform, and which ones to entirely get rid of, Trump has the opportunity to reinvest America's faith in the institutions that matter, focusing on those that are doing their job, not just creating vast amounts of networks of bureaucrats just to serve as a progressive job program.
So one last question. There's a lot of players on the left that have gotten us to this mess. And most recently, the last 4 years has just almost been unbelievable. Do you think anybody of notoriety on the left will go down?
Well, a number of people who are probably more savvy operators than the left have been trying to put the woke away, trying to say we need to calm this down. We need to turn to maybe our economic message. You know, there's all these billionaires in charge. Maybe that's the winning ticket. They're trying to speak truth to their current audience, but their audience has become so rabid. Their activist class has become so rabid that they want to continue to push these radical progressive policies, even in the face of their electoral and moral defeat. So I think you've seen people like Joy Reid losing their show. There seems to be some attempt by some of the media outlets. Jeff Bezos just came out and said that the Washington Post is going to dial back the radical leftism in some of its opinion pages. We'll see what actually happens with this. There has been some shift. I'm doubtful that they can completely turn the ship around given the state of their own staff and their own activist class. But there's certainly an attempt to do so. And when you do that, the most radical actors like Joy Reid do end up on the bench.
Yeah, they do. Hey, good to see you, friend. Thanks for staying in the fight. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out Oren's website, and that's AURON, McIntyre.substack.com. That's where you can connect with him. Check out his book, The Total State, and check out his show. Thanks, Oren. Good to see you, bud.
Thanks again.
Yeah, God bless. Well, welcome back for just a few moments. Again, thank you again for your continued support of this unique ministry. Let me say that today is a kind of a classic example where equipment and things get a little challenging, and that was the case today. We had several guests lined up, but unknown to us through the weekend, some announcements have been made about software changes and technical changes, and it does impact us, and it probably will today and in the future as we try to adjust to what the industry is doing. So, but we couldn't do any of this and be on the air if it wasn't for your support. And I just wanted to take a few moments again to say thank you for your continued support of this unique media ministry. The Dove is reaching literally thousands of people of every hour. And I wish you could just sit down and read some of the letters and the notes and the emails and the comments that we get from the programming, as it's reaching so many people. And your support makes that happen. We're still about what we normally have been for the last couple of years, anywhere between 83 to 85% of the Dove's revenue primarily is from listeners and viewers like you. We simply wouldn't be on the air if it wasn't for you. We don't take that for granted, and we certainly don't take it lightly. We take it with a humble spirit, thanking the Lord for your investment into what happens here at the Dove. And it's not us, it's you helping us to do it. And we are so grateful for that. And the only thing I can say is that if you've never supported the Dove, pray about it and only do what the Lord is leading you to do. But do not take from your church or any other ministry that you're involved in, because that's where you belong first. But if you feel led and you want to be a part of what we do here, pray about it. And you can call us anytime at 541-776-5368, or you can safely and securely go online at thedove.us. And by the way, if you've never received the Word for You Today devotional, the new ones are out. A lot of folks have already received them in the mail. If you've never had one of these, we just sent it to you. We feel led of the Lord to be in your eyes with good television, be in your ears with good radio, and to be in your hands with the Word of God. This devotional is literally being read all over the world. Millions are all over the world reading this. Throughout Europe, I think they're running a little over 2.5 million throughout Europe is reading this. Today, can't tell you the details, but 11 million people are reading it in China. And then from there, they're able to share it with other people. It's pretty amazing. And if you've never had a copy of this, it takes about 2.5, 3 minutes, maybe 3.5 minutes a day for you to read a devotional for the day. The gentleman that wrote this, well, he's in heaven now, but he wrote all the way through 2027 ahead. So we have a lot more out there to read. But he and I have had a relationship from when I was 16 years old all the way through until his passing a couple of years ago. And I sit on his board. I sit on the Word for You Today board to make sure that this little booklet gets literally published all over the world in 13 different languages. If you've never had a copy, just call us at the Dove or email us, and we'll slip one in the mail to you. No obligation, no nothing. We just want the Word of God in your hands. And it's really interesting to find out how many people we send this to in prisons. Hundreds go to prisons. So the Lord is using this little booklet as much as he's using the Dove radio and television. And all this happens because of you. And as the Dove faces the future, a lot of opportunities and yet a lot of challenges and a lot of changes and a lot of upgrades. All these things are constant. And we can't meet those challenges without your help. So pray about what the Lord would have you to do to be a partner with what we do. And but the least of which, and most importantly, pray for the Dove. We have a lot of decisions to make, a lot of things before us that change constantly. But call us anytime at 541-776-5368. Or you safely and securely can go online at theDove.us. There's the picture of our landing page. And all of that is protected. We don't share that information with anybody. So you can feel safe and secure there. Thank you. And I mean that sincerely. Thank you for believing in, praying for, and supporting the mission of the Dove. God bless you all.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Breakfast served daily until 2 p.m. Breakfast burritos, biscuits and gravy, skillets, omelets, and more. Sweet Tea Express. Don't get caught hungry.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
Are you struggling to find loyal customers to grow your business? The people you want are watching and listening to the Dove right now. Hello, I'm Perry Atkinson. You know, the Dove offers your business a loyal and faithful audience, a safe and positive media platform to be associated with, reaching over 6 million customers daily. Find faithful customers, partner with the Dove, and watch your business flourish. Find out more. Contact Nancy Worth, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at the Dove today.
Apologetics on major issues so you can know your faith. Watch The John Ankerberg Show, weekdays at 4 on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Well, good morning. The old dogs are back. But it looks like we can be replaced.
100%. Whoa.
Uh-huh. Oh, I don't know what to say about that.
I have seen the future.
I have did too. And it's prettier than you and me, I'll tell you that.
Much prettier.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Oh, my
anyway,
goodness.
thank you, Paulina and Melinda, for filling in. I'm not sure if we're going to allow you to do it again. It's called job security. Anyway, welcome back.
Oh, thank you very much.
You had a good week.
Yeah,
you get enough skiing in, or you still? Well, still got a lot up here to do.
Yeah. In fact, we got a lot up here here to do, and we got more snow coming our way.
Yeah.
On and off through the week, so it's a good thing.
Snowed up there now.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at that.
Yeah, there you go.
And the conditions actually are better locally than they are in the big money resorts right now down south. Yep.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Welcome back. Welcome home. Sorry, folks, but the old dogs are still here.
Here we are.
And we got a lot to talk about today. By the way, of course, some of the big stories is, the president's going to give a State of the Union address tomorrow. Yeah. And it's expected to be very contentious, as you can imagine. Yeah. Especially after Friday's blow up in the Oval Office. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Elon Musk doing his thing around. I have the classic email.
Okay.
You guys have it? Do you have it there, Logan? There it is. I never thought that Doge would affect me personally. My wife asked me to email her by midnight 5 things that I did around the house last week.
This is getting out of hand. Oh, this accountability deal.
Look at this.
Whoever asked for that? That's good. That's very good.
All right. So anyway, good morning to you. Anything special today?
Yeah, it is National Anthem Day.
Oh.
The Star Spangled Banner, as it's known, the national anthem, written by Francis Scott Key, became the national anthem on this day in 1931.
Wow.
So it is National Anthem Day. Run it up a flagpole and
Not
see
that old,
who salutes it. No, but it was written a long time ago. It was officially, and we'll have a little story on this later. Also, is National Soup It Forward Day, encouraging us to deliver love and kindness by the bowlful.
Really?
Yeah, a big bowl of soup, hot. Oh, especially on those days when you are skiing all day long, except for lunch or something like that, you pull in, get a hot bowl of soup. Oh, what could be better? So if you're going to have a bowl of soup, what kind are you going to have?
Peggy's chicken soup.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
I like a lot of soup. That's really, really good. You can get by the tomato basil from Costco.
Okay.
Have you had that?
Yes, I have.
It's really good.
It's wonderful.
It depends on the I like various soups.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like a salmon chowder.
Oh, nice.
Now, I've had clam chowder.
You're talking.
But have you ever had salmon chowder? It is delicious.
Tortilla soup is wonderful.
Tortilla soup when it's really cold.
My favorite homemade soup is your favorite to throw away, Pam's split pea soup. We won't
you can rest assured I will never, ever pass that. I pass it on. You can have mine.
He cleaned out the refrigerator. Something was green. He threw it away.
It was his soup.
I said you threw away my lunch. He said it was green. I said it's split pea soup. Anyway,
I'll never live that one down.
Never. Thank you for that moment, though. Anyway, and finally, top it off with cold cuts. It's National Cold Cuts Day.
All right.
And call them lunch meats, deli meats, sandwich meats, or cold cuts. Some like them thick. Others like to stack them high. Like a mile high, and others just like them with cheese and crackers. However you like them, National Cold Cuts Day is today, and they are deli staples like the humble turkey and ham. There are culinary delights like salami, prosciutto, flavors that require more acquired taste like head cheese. And do you know what this is? Braunschweiger? I don't even know what that one is, but head cheese, I've had that.
It's everything you're not supposed to eat.
That's right. That's it. So enjoy it, though, while you have it.
Okay. Well, let's check in with old Split Pea himself and find out what the weather is.
Low pressure continues to bring a chance of showers across the top of our region. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington,